All right, this has been a long time in coming. I just didn't know how to get this done because Cam lives in a different place and I live in the glorious town of Woodstock. So I'm up here at UGA and I've got, we're at a restaurant called, I think it's like
Mama's Boy.
Mama's Boy. So
I'm talking to that, Mama's Boy.
Yeah, it's right here on your shirt. We're at Mama's Boy. So Cam and I have been buddies for about 30 years. I think maybe 7 good years of friendship.
Yeah, well, I'm 50. Yes. I'm 50, and I think we became friends in middle school, so it's probably more like 35, 6-ish years.
Right.
It's the vast majority of my
The
life.
way you caught that football, and then
so
your
amazing.
throat on the for sale sign.
That part was not intentional.
I'm like, this guy, I don't know who he is, but we're going to be friends forever.
Dude just tackled a for sale sign.
His neck. And you're like, hey, I think I can see your larynx. You're like, you put a tube up to your throat, and you're like, no, it is okay. It is just fine. Everyone look away.
All right. It's going to be hard to get through this whole
It is.
thing.
It's going to be great. If you don't laugh at this, then find me in the gym and give me a punch in the arm. So I don't know how to edit these yet, or I don't know how to edit them easily. So I'm a little nervous. We are not X-rated or R-rated.
Not intentionally,
Not
anyway.
So we got some kids that listen, I think. Yeah, so that's true. So you were playing, I think the way it was is, Charlie is my brother, and we were walking,
I'm sure Charlie is your brother.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I think that's true.
Yep.
And we were walking down the street, and then you and Lewis Gitter.
That is correct. Boy,
Yeah.
there's a blast from the past.
Yeah.
Lewis, if you're listening, hello.
Yeah, you're like, hey punks, you want to play some street
I
football?
want to play some football in the streets.
So, for those that don't know, if you're under the age of, I don't know, maybe 40, I don't think
Probably.
street football existed after that.
Probably not.
So what is street football?
So it's super complicated. You play football
Where?
in the street.
That's
Yes,
and
there
so
you go.
what would you call it?
Sure, I'd call it street
Street
football.
football.
Yeah. Street rules.
So what happens when a car comes by?
Everyone yells, car, and gets off the road.
The ball's in the air?
Yeah.
Car!
Car.
Everyone just runs.
Yeah.
You're like, whatever. I mean, if I remember right, so we're playing on Chartley Drive,
Where you grew up.
and it's like a massive downhill. So,
Yep.
I mean, now that I'm a driver, I get it. Hey, velocity and momentum in the downhill, you just let it coast, and I'm like going 90 in a neighborhood down this hill.
I mean, I hope you weren't
We're
doing
like-
90 in the neighborhood.
What I want you to do is do a chair, go long. I will like totally pump it way out there. You're like trucking, like car, you're like dive into the yard. I mean, I suppose that's why they don't play it anymore.
Probably. And, counties built all these parks. We didn't have that when we were growing up.
That's true. It was more like bramble patches.
Yeah.
You want to go to the bramble patch and like, we did other things in the park.
There.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're stopping this
Yeah.
conversation
No,
right
I meant
there.
like fish and pick up trash.
Yes.
Okay, so we've been friends for a very long time. We have an old. Well, it wasn't an old guys group. It's just friends from Georgia Tech, but
Yep.
weirdly, it's now like an old guys group because
Because we all graduated into old guy world.
right, the time doesn't wait for anybody, which is funny. It's so for you. Well, everyone will probably notice this, but you don't really notice, I think, until you're way older. The phases of life and how they just follow you and your friends around.
Yep.
So when you first start off, like, hey, we're all graduating high school. Hey, we're all graduating college. Hey, we're all getting married.
Right?
Hey, we're all having babies. Hey, your kids are graduating high school.
Yeah.
Hey, your kids are...
Yeah, now they're in college. Hey, look, a lot of our friends are getting divorced now.
True. Or dying or whatever. You're
Yeah,
like,
I mean, actually, I work with a guy who's our age. One of his good friends died of a stroke like a week ago. He had to fly back to Missouri to bury his friend. It was terrible.
Yeah, we had
So,
something happen in the gym recently, and it's just a young dad with kids, and it's just heartbreaking. You're like,
it's
wait,
terrible.
what? So yeah, more of the things, and I don't actually know if any of our peers or friends have passed away.
No one I'm aware of, but
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it would be a whole lot easier with Facebook, whatever, to find them. Yeah. So,
What is Facebook again?
it's the Facebook, remember?
The Facebook.
I think.
The Book of Face.
Are you on Facebook now?
My wife is on Facebook, so I just kind of use her account because I refuse to give Zuckerberg any more accounts.
Yeah, well,
so.
he sold it to Elon Musk.
Oh, did he?
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so
All right.
Elon
Well, we're
owns
good
everything.
then.
Yeah. So I still believe in that passage in the Bible where it says the geek will inherit the earth.
There may be a different interpretation.
No, that's what it says.
Okay.
It's
All
right. They just missed the letter. So if you know in the Bible, like it's all written without vowels and stuff, and so they kind of have to make up what the words. That's actually true for the Old Testament or the Torah, but
This podcast is running off the rails.
Super stupid. So the interesting part to me, well, one, friends forever, whatever, it should be fun just to chat, but you recently decided to do CrossFit. So
I did.
I like to find stories of people who are real people, and I mean, it doesn't get any more real than like our 5-year friendship over 30 years.
Yep.
Oh, look at that.
was-
Speaking of CrossFit, it's a good
I
thing.
thought I ordered the large cinnamon. Bacon, yes, that's
I'm the
me.
vegetarian
I'm the bacon.
with meat.
Yeah.
Bacon, egg, and cheese.
Thank you.
Y'all
Thank
need
you.
anything else?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Looks delicious.
Y'all enjoy that, okay?
Thank you.
Make sure this thing's still recording. So I'll try not to record as we slobber in our food, or we'll
Right.
try to do it quietly or something. Or I can hit pause and we can just
You
kill
want
the
to pause,
food.
eat?
Yeah,
They don't
there-
want to hear
there
us
we
eat.
go. No,
Okay.
I don't
All right.
slobber
Goodbye,
away.
people. What were we?
I have no idea,
Okay,
but we're done
back.
eating, and so stuff has changed so fast. We were
Yep.
just talking about some blood transfusion and other weird stuff, but I have already found myself saying back in my day, I'm like, really? I'm not actually 50 yet, and I'm saying back in my day, and I think it's sooner than my dad did.
Right.
We need more coffee, gentlemen.
Yes, please, thank you very much.
Just the water for me, thank you.
I'm going to be jittery, and yeah. Okay, so
Drinking the right coffee for that.
yeah, hey, well,
Yeah, it'll do it.
I have to throw axes with my son today, and other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why not be jittery?
Jittery.
Yeah,
I
that makes
wanna
sense.
Have lots of.
You have an excuse of why.
That's right. Oh no, I will make it. I'm very athletic on stupid things like that. Which actually, so recently we went down to Sarasota.
Yep.
And thank you, Glenn. Or actually, thank you. It wasn't Glenn.
It was Sharon's sister.
Thank you, Sharon's
place?
sister.
Thank you, Sharon's sister.
Yes. So you're into this new sport called what?
Sorry.
That's not the sport.
Yes. I got choked up.
I like to ask questions right as you start to drink. It's my favorite thing.
So I think you're referring to the CrossFit.
And no, well, yes, but pickleball.
Because I was thinking CrossFit's not really a sport. Oh,
I mean,
yes.
well, actually,
gotcha.
there's a fight right there.
Yeah.
I concur, but many people.
They are called athletes,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and there's the sport of fitness, which is
right.
like
There you go.
I can do side bends and sit-ups faster than you. Yeah.
That is also true. But yes, I have been for about the past almost year. I guess I started playing pickleball almost a year ago. So, yeah. Well, America's fastest growing sport, by the way, pickleball.
Is it?
Yes.
I mean, when you grow from 0 to 1, that's
All
like
right, so math is part of it. Yes. You're
Your sample
correct.
size, whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
I would like, so if anybody's at the gym thinking, hey, or in Woodstock, I guess if you're listening to this, you're thinking, I want to get together and do some pickleball with people.
Oh,
the
so much
gym,
fun.
let's do it.
Yeah, so much fun.
There are tournaments all over the place.
Everywhere, all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
So we go down to Sarasota, and you're like, I pre-bought paddles and balls for everybody, and Sharon's sister's place has a has a tennis court.
Which is a lot of places.
Did
just
it actually
convert
have
the
the
tennis.
markings, or did we just make
It
it
had,
up?
yeah, it had the markings.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the net's too tall, though.
No, it's basically the same size net. I mean, I think.
That would make some sense. Like, let's just rewrite the rules because it's all on tennis courts anyway.
Yeah, I think maybe the regulation net is an inch different or something. I don't even know, but it's close enough that
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Right?
And I can see it in your eyes. You're like, yeah, guys, let's go do this pickleball.
Yeah.
Hold my beer. I'm about to crush you all.
Here we go.
So I think you were on the ultimate winning team. Won every game between the 5 of us.
I
was on the ultimate losing team.
I did not know that.
Yes.
That's funny.
And so somebody says, hey, because usually I can ride a unicycle and juggle.
Right.
I'm like, whatever. But this pickle, I could not make work.
Well, it was your first time pickling.
Yeah,
So,
but I think it was the other guys too.
correct.
Yeah. And so somebody said, so the joke is funny, but it's not really funny because it's sort of true. They said, Andy, you're not doing too good. What's your plan? I said, well, I'll just wait another 20 minutes. Y'all all be dead of heart attacks.
Which actually would have happened had we continued playing.
And I will start winning. And so I think Charlie was like, hey, that's not actually all that funny.
Yeah.
So
That was fun.
pickleball didn't lead to CrossFit.
No, so pickleball was just something that I picked up because we moved into our new house about a year ago, and they happened to have pickleball there, which I had heard of it before, and everyone I had talked to was like, hey, pickleball's a lot of fun, you should try it. So when we moved in and I found out they had pickleball, I was talking to Steph, I'm like, we got to do this pickleball thing. Like everyone says, everyone. So anyway, they had like an open meeting for anyone interested in pickleball. Just show up and we'll teach you the rules. So I was like, okay, cool. So showed up, got to meet some people, some of them older than me, which made me feel a little younger than I actually am, which is great.
You know what's wrong when you're the youngest guy in the old room? You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah, and I think I was actually the second youngest guy at this particular meeting.
Okay.
So I didn't feel that bad, but anyway, so it was good. And then some old guys were beating me at pickleball, which definitely made me feel bad.
Right.
But they had obviously been playing and I had not. So anyway, it is a super fun sport. You do get some exercise. I wouldn't say that you get a tremendous amount of exercise, but it is better than sitting on the couch watching TV.
Well, I think that's the lure, is that you're not doing an entire amount of twisty movie, whatever. It's like, hey, I can still be competitive without like potentially endangering myself too much.
Yeah, there you go. And it's so for anyone who's done tennis, it's kind of like tennis, but on a court about half the size.
So it's ping pong, but you're standing on the table.
Or it's ping pong on a giant table. That's actually a better description of it. Ping pong on a giant table.
There's that front section.
The kitchen.
The kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of table, I don't know, but you're like, you can't get in the kitchen, and I'm like, this is a great place to spike the ball. You're like, so hey, that was a great spike, and it's illegal.
Yeah,
like,
you just can't do that. Yeah. Well, you can, but the ball has to bounce in the kitchen first, and then you can step in.
And you can totally do it if they don't catch you. So I think 90% of the time I got caught, but every once in a while, they're like, that was really good. I'm like,
you did it one time, and I'm like, okay, watch for Andy. He's going to be in the kitchen. Andy, you're in the kitchen.
I'm like, son of a... so that was pretty fun, but that didn't get you into CrossFit.
Yes, no, that did not get me into CrossFit. So
the story that I want people to hear is, hey, we're 50-year-old guys.
Yeah.
And many people say, hey, it's too late. It's 50. I can't do anything. Well, I'm just screw it.
So, and by the way,
we might have to move outside because it's getting...
If we need to move, you tell me. You hit the pause and we'll go.
Yeah, or we'll just do it while we move.
But we're 5 minutes into the post-lunch conversation, and now we finally remembered what we were talking about before lunch.
It's intentional. It's in my notes right here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
okay,
lure Cam down a winding trail and then get him back on, tangentially back on track.
Yep, just dropping chocolate chips. Come on, Cam.
You get Reese's peanut butter.
Reese's peanut butter.
Reese's...
Yeah. Oreo cookies.
No. What did they do for ET? It was Reese's something.
Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
Yes,
Yeah.
Reese's Pieces.
That put them on the map.
So, it did, in fact. Funny story. They tried to get M&M to do it, and they were like, "No, that's stupid. We're not going to do it." And Reese's was like, "Hey, we've got like an M&M competitor. We'll do it." So
I recently listened to this book, Psychology of Money, and they talk about this thing. Yes, and I know everyone's like, "Wait, you guys just got tangential again." Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
It was fascinating. I recommend it to everybody. So basically, if you don't have money, take risks. Because if you got money, reduce your risks, right? And then he talks about like the things that happen that are uncharacterizable, like this. Reese's is nobody. They got a candy and nobody's eating it, and they're like, yes, I guess we'll do it because M&M said no.
Yeah.
And home run. And there's so many things that like are accidental home runs or accidental flops. Like, hey, the computer is never going to take off. Hey, the internet, that's not a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Who was it? Someone created, it was like Xerox or someone created the mouse, right?
Right.
And they weren't going to use it, and Steve Jobs was like, hey, I'll use that.
I'll just take that, right. So their contention was it's not being the best at picking like the stocks or whatever that'll get there.
Yep.
It's taking enough risks, smart risks, that at least something will hit it out of the park.
Yeah. And so you hit the nail on the head. Like when you have no money, take risks because what do you have to lose?
Right. Come get me. I'll just start over.
Right. Stephanie and I have talked about this with Wes, who, as you know, is graduating from college in 2 weeks. So Wes is my son, who's graduating from college in 2 weeks. Hey, Wes. And he's got all these plans. He wants to dabble in real estate like you've done, and like he wants to start his own business. He's actually already set up an LLC, and so Steph was worried about him, like, oh my gosh, what if he fails and he loses all his money? I'm like, what is he losing?
Right.
What the kid's got like
time.
$57 to his name.
Right.
Like,
they lose time.
Yeah.
So this is the best time to do it. And the weird thing is like it's then, so they're talking about it's then the magic of compounding that does the work. So there was 3 guys with Warren Buffett. Well, 2 guys with Warren Buffett. Wait, Warren Buffett's a really rich guy, right?
He is, one
good.
of them, yeah.
I always get these names confused.
And really old guy.
He is, yes, right, he's old.
Yes.
So they said his net worth is below the guy or percentage gain is below the guy who has the best hedge fund, but the guy with the best hedge fund is only 50. So Warren Buffett made all his money 60 plus or whatever it was because the compounding took over.
Right.
So anyway, there was these three guys, Warren Buffett, Timmy, because you know Timmy.
Timmy.
Yeah, and Ralph. And nobody knows Ralph because Ralph wanted to get rich really quick. And so in the 80s, he made a lot of smart but sketchy like plays on interest rates and stuff. And so he's no longer part of the three because he took risks when he had money, and he should have just played it smarter and safer. And so now he's out of the game, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And so nobody knows about him because
Right.
he didn't take off. But fascinating book. So Psychology of Money, I recommend it.
I'll put it on my read list.
Yeah, or listen to
Or
it.
listen
Yeah, because
list.
I don't ever
List.
read anything.
Yep. Okay, so steering the ship back onto the ranch.
Yes.
I don't know why you'd have a ship on a ranch, but anyway. So CrossFit,
Yeah.
because that's what we actually came here to talk about.
And of course, you tell your story. I'll
Right.
interject where I think it was fascinating. But if I broach on a topic that you're like, I can't talk about that.
I'll just give you the...
Yeah, hold on one second.
Okay. Are we starting again? We're starting?
We start, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So, anyway, all right. I'm going to go
No,
go back to
that's
the
funny.
ranch.
Go for it. Yeah.
Nope.
Get off track because that was funny.
No, we're not doing it. So, CrossFit. So how did I get into CrossFit? So I'm 50, right?
Are you actually 50?
I
or
am
you-
actually
Okay.
like by
your
the
birthday
by the
September 4th, or
Gregorian
is that my
calendar,
dad?
I am 50. No, I'm
September
18.
18th?
18.
Okay.
Yep. 18th, greatest day in the world, September 18, 1972.
I got a kid born on the 11th of September.
Yep.
And if you say it that way, nobody knows anything about it.
That's okay. Perfect.
How are you the owner? Manager? How's
Close
business? Oh, good. I love it. Everything's coming back. The college kids need to eat.
Drive me nuts on a daily basis.
We love Mama's Boy though.
Yeah.
I do too.
I'm a repeat offender.
Yeah, me too.
And I live 2 hours away, so
Well, wonderful. I
Yeah.
love to hear that. I mean, I've been here almost 5 years.
oh, nice.
I love it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's perfect hours. I got 5 kids, so it's like good hours for the kids.
And you can just bring food home and like, you teenage boys eat all this. It's fine.
My oldest son is the biscuit maker over at the other one.
Oh wow.
He was running the back of the house at the
Right.
Bahamas for like 8 years.
Nice competition.
And then went over to
So-
now we're like, whose biscuits are better?
Yeah, who's biscuits? Who's biscuits? So if you're if you come to Athens, UGA, Mama's, Boys, country breakfast,
Yep.
something
Country cooking and goat cheese.
is the way to go. Yeah, just put a big fork in there.
So all right, so we're still live, right?
Yes. You
Okay.
can keep talking
So
and
I'm going
working.
to try to multitask. I'm not very good at that, as
Here.
my wife knows. Thank you.
Oh!
See,
no,
I'm
that's
terrible.
perfect. Watch this,
Is
watch
that
this,
good?
watch.
Do it.
See? That's the engineer in me.
The engineer.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's you guys can't see this,
No,
but
it was a miracle.
Andy just flipped a giant cinnamon bun right into a to-go box.
That's
It
what
was
I do.
fantastic.
I
put those there.
flip giant cinnamon buns for a living.
Yeah.
Or something. All right, we're going to move outside to get less noise. Tell me your first name.
Heater?
Megan, thank you for relocating us. And, oops, sorry about that.
You're fine.
Oh, hey, thank you for saying that. You didn't have to. Many people
Well done,
do.
Megan.
Yeah, I
Well,
like that.
you caught on. That
I
was
love
good.
this. This place is great. For everyone listening, she did just call me fine.
Oh,
You
yeah.
heard it, didn't you?
I heard it.
She's like, "You're
I'm
fine."
a witness. Yeah. It's
we-
totally not what she meant, but I did hear it.
When we were in Breckenridge skiing, I bumped into some lady at a shirt store. It was too tightly packed,
Yeah.
and I was like trying to squeeze up, right? And
Yes.
and she like slides by and we like touch shoulders or butts or something. I don't know.
Right.
And so I'm like, ooh, sorry about that. And she, of course, turned and she's like, oh, you're fine. And she's got 2 teenage kids, and I've got 2 teenage kids. As soon as she said that, my teenage kids took off like the light for cockroaches, right?
Right.
Like, because they knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So I started sassing my hips, and I turned over my shoulder, and I said, why, thank you. You didn't have to say that. But I appreciate it.
Did she freak out?
So she looks at me like, what the
Yeah.
hell just happened? And like 2 minutes later, I hear her snort laugh. So I look up and I see her, and she thumbs up, and I'm like, yeah, double thumb, you got it.
Just
She's
took
like,
her a while.
Yeah,
She
she's like,
got
that
it,
was pretty
though.
funny.
Yeah.
And then her kids are like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, just keep going. And my kids are like hiding. Like, we did not come in here with this.
no.
Yeah, it was bad. Okay, so tangential. Tangents
All
are
right.
good. Yeah. So you decide, hey, I should do something. Why? What
Okay,
happens?
so let's go back a little bit.
Okay, how
I
about
love-
like
I love background.
1982 when we were playing
not that
street
far.
ball?
Not to the street ball. So if you go back about 15 years ago, to my mid-30s.
I don't even know this story. Okay, great.
Well, that was the last time I did any significant working out.
Was it CrossFit?
No, it was not. Well, so if you remember.
I do remember that.
You told, because you had, I think, just gotten into CrossFit at that
That
point.
wouldn't be about 15 years ago.
Yeah. And you were like, Kim, you gotta do CrossFit. Kim, you gotta do
I think you were
CrossFit.
making me sound more masculine
Yes,
than I normally
it was
am.
like, it was totally
Most
like,
people, when I do my voice,
you
are
gotta
like,
do
Kim, you
CrossFit.
gotta do Can't do it. Super high. I'm like,
So
thank
you convinced me, because there was a CrossFit place near where I worked in Alpharetta.
Breaking boundaries, I think.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
whatever.
Anyway, you were like, dude, I talked to the owner, you can go there and get like a free intro and blah, blah, blah. So I did it, right? I did it one time and went hard. Now, I was still in my mid-30s, a lot younger than
And
I
did
am
I warn you?
now.
Please don't
you
go
did.
hard?
You
Yeah.
were like,
Good.
just take it easy. I'm like, take it easy,
Whatever.
nothing. I'm Kim Garrett. I'm pushing this thing. So anyway, after the class, I was sitting there looking terrible. We're still okay?
Yeah,
All
we're
right.
recording, yeah.
And I remember the coach going, you feel all right? You look like you might get sick. I was like, no, man, I'm
good.
fine. He was like, no, it's okay, it's all right, whatever. And so I left the gym, went back to my office, and threw up.
Yeah, you called me. You're like, hey, so I'm spitting chunks out my
Right,
mouth.
I'm
like,
literally
what?
vomiting
You're like,
right
I went to
now.
do that stupid CrossFit thing. I'm like,
It was so bad.
so did you go easy? You're like, no, and you're an idiot. I'm like, all right, well,
It was-
yes, nobody's arguing that I'm not an idiot.
That is true. No one ever has.
So 15 years ago was not that
So
episode.
so that was that. But I did like start going to the gym and eating a little better and lost some weight and got in better shape. Blah blah blah. So I did that for like a year or two.
Right.
And then of course I fell off the wagon and
Right.
slowly but surely.
Well, weirdly, life gets in the way of life.
Life
and you're
definitely
like, oh, well,
gets
I'll
in the
just
way.
do
Kids
it.
are getting older
Yeah.
and blah blah blah.
It's the
So-
weirdest thing when you're like someone asked me the other day, oh, when did that happen? I'm like, I want to say 6 months ago, but it could have been 6 years ago.
Right, exactly.
And
Yeah.
time, when you're in the busy life of I have kids and I'm working on promotions and putting the mortgage on the table, no. You don't put mortgage on the table.
Well, you
Whatever.
can.
I
I
guess.
just- I
It'd be
don't know if
weird.
that works.
You put the table in the mortgage, I
Yeah.
guess. But when you're doing all that, you're like, wait, I literally just not lost, but
Yeah.
10 years
Like,
of my life
10 years just went by.
Or
What-
20.
what just happened?
The number
Yeah.
of people who say, I can't do anything because it's been too long. I'm like,
Yep.
no.
Well,
do something. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. So anyway, so basically since then, for about 15-ish years, I've had basically no exercise in my
Right.
life. Like I've more or less been a couch potato,
Yeah.
right? And I'll never forget talking to my doctor at one of my checkups like 5 years ago. He goes, "What do you do for exercise?" I was like,
I come here.
I was like, no, yeah, well, I walk, like the wife and I will go walking in the neighborhood in the evening.
Yeah.
And he just he stops and looks at me. He said, listen to me very carefully. He said, I'm not telling you walking is bad. Continue walking, but walking is what we do to get from point A to point B. It's not exercise.
Okay.
I was like, that's harsh, Doc.
Yeah.
You're making me
That's
feel
interesting
bad.
because I would tell people to start, if they do nothing, do the mailbox challenge.
So 100%,
Yeah.
like if you're doing
Nothing. Start walking. Yeah.
and then eventually start jogging and then
Yeah.
eventually start running for sure. So anyway.
True, that's a good point. So it's go a distance or an amount of time or at a higher velocity.
Right.
That you're like, that was slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You need to do something
Bingo.
like
Not far enough to make yourself throw up, right? Don't do that.
So I like to tell people when we're doing lifts at the gym, like you got to go under the bar, do this or that. It's slightly uncomfortable or awkward, like a good middle school relationship.
Oh.
So yeah, so if you're thinking I'm walking enough, like this would be a weird middle school relationship, awkward or tough, you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a great analogy.
It is
Such a weird analogy.
It's awkward. It's tough.
awkward.
Yeah. Or yeah. Okay.
So, all right. So fast forward. So I've been a good solid couch potato for about 15 years.
Right.
Started the pickleball thing, which is okay. It's better.
No,
than
that's
not,
actually
it's better
great.
than nothing.
Well, here's the trick of that is it's a sport.
Yeah.
Let me say it back. It's an activity.
Yes.
That tricks you into being active.
It does, and it's social, which, as you know, I tend to enjoy.
Yeah.
So anytime I can do things
I
where
thought you were a Georgia Tech guy.
I am. Yeah.
So you know how to
it's-
tell the extroverts at Georgia Tech?
Yeah. They stare at your shoes instead of their own.
That's exactly true. And that's why you're the boss of all of us. Yes.
So what happened is, going back to last fall, almost winter, like November-ish time frame, my mom had some health issues. My mom's like, not old, but she's 78, but she's like in really, really bad shape. I consider her to be in bad shape for her age. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. But you're doing better.
And we love you.
And we love you. So she fell, broke a hip, hospital. She's in rehab.
Does she still call you baby sometimes? Like,
No.
you're my baby?
No,
My mom does that. I'm like, seriously, I'm 50, I have gray hair.
I don't think my mom called me baby when I was a baby. But anyway, that's
She's like, you come out, this is Cam.
that's a topic me and my therapist are talking about right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
So anyway,
I'll start calling you baby.
Yeah, you can do that.
But more
That's fine.
from the
And cuddle me a
movie,
little.
from
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing. You're that baby.
Hate
yeah.
that movie.
Oh, you did?
It's such a girl
when she jumped
movie.
up in his arms.
Oh, stop.
Oh, yeah.
Please. It's like the only Swayze movie I don't like.
What about, they were both in my favorite movie, Red Dawn.
I was going to say Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Were they
but
both in that?
No,
Swayze wasn't in.
No, you're right. Swayze was not.
But
she
was
She
in
was the
Red
sister.
Dawn, which is
they were both in Red.
The first Red
yes.
Dawn, the best movie
the
ever
only
made.
real Red Dawn.
Wolverines.
Yeah, if you people have seen the new Red Dawn, it's terrible.
Usually, sometimes before workouts, I will yell Wolverines, or I yell San Dimas High School football rules. So people are like, "Why do you always say that?" I'm like, "Go watch Bill and Ted. It's pretty funny."
So for all the people under 25, you have no idea what we're talking about.
So yes, I like to do. Yet I digress. Tangential. I like to do the workout brief backwards. Like, hey, we're gonna do. This is the workout. This is maybe the strength or skill that we're doing, and this is the warm up. So then it's fresh in your mind. We can do the warm up.
Okay,
So I
nice.
usually start off with, hey, just like the movie Memento, and finally someone's like, hey, what is that? I'm like, man. Y'all don't know what Memento is? That's a newish movie? And I went and looked it up. It was from like 1932. I'm like, dang it. Yeah,
All right,
anyway,
that's pretty old.
Okay, so,
Okay, so
we love you, Mom, baby.
So mom's in bad shape, right? So we had to move her into assisted living. It was like the week between Christmas and New Year's. Moved her into assisted living, and she'll never hear this, so she can't get mad at me. So
Or don't say it and just like
No,
generalize
I'll say it. It's okay. So
Well, and so it is interesting. Your life is someone else's life.
of course, yeah.
And they're
I'm
gonna
not
hear
the only
this,
person
right.
going through
No,
this, for
exactly,
sure.
yeah.
There's, 8 billion people on the planet? Probably
Is there?
somebody else is
Yeah.
going through this.
Well, we're just talking Woodstock and the 13 people that listen to
There you go.
the show. Yeah.
We have like 20 listeners.
More than that.
I was going to make my start on
Yeah,
this thing.
you're making your start. Yeah,
Okay.
they're coming after you for your cement and pavement, your concrete.
Very good. So mom, when we moved her into assisted living, the kind of defining moment for me, I don't know about her, but she literally was so weak, she was in such bad shape, she could not get out of the wheelchair to get onto the toilet by herself. So,
Which is very standard for people.
which for people who are old and not in good shape.
How do you get there?
So
one day at a time, and you don't even notice.
Yeah, and so I had to help her. I had to help my mother get off the chair onto the toilet, wait so she could do her business, and then help her get back. And and by the way, today she's done a lot of PT, and she can do that on her own, which is fantastic.
You can come back.
Yes, you can.
That's
Even
the
at
thing
78,
is, the moral of the story
come back.
you can do things.
And it was hard work. She had to go to physical therapy, but she did it, right? Which is good.
So in PT, she has a coach.
Yes, for sure. She has a coach who's coaching her through everything.
Shortcut any process.
Yeah.
Hire a mentor. Hire a coach.
For sure.
Because
get someone who's better at it than you, and
or
get
just
them to
wade
teach
through
you.
the data. They've read it all. And they're like, this stuff sucks, and I'm going to keep you accountable. Yeah.
So, so to contrast that, at around the same time, I'm helping my 78-year-old mother on and off the toilet. I'm playing pickleball in our neighborhood.
And you're like, ooh, I pulled something.
With a gentleman named Dan. I won't use his last name because he didn't give me permission. I guess Mom didn't either, but that's okay. But Dan's also a Georgia Tech grad, by the way. Go Jackets! So Dan is 75 years old. So here's my mom.
He doesn't know what podcasting is,
no,
so it's okay.
Probably. He does drive a nice Porsche, though.
Oh, nice.
Anyway,
I pulled up next to this guy today. He was in a Tesla.
Ooh!
Yeah, and I was
those
in
things are amazing.
I was in this Ford F-150.
And they make you much more sexy than you actually are.
Well, the Ford 150 makes me much bigger. So when I step out of the car, they're like, really? You can drive that? I'm like, yes, it has seats that lift
When you
up.
climb down the ladder?
There's a rung that comes down.
So at the same time, my 78-year-old mother cannot get on and off the toilet by herself. I'm playing pickleball with this guy who's 75, only 3 years younger than my mom, and he is like spry. He's bouncing around the court and everything. And so that was the point at which I decided, like, man, I'm 50. I've been doing essentially nothing for a decade and a half.
Right.
And my mom did nothing for about the last 2.5 decades, which is part of why she was in such bad shape. So,
right there.
Yeah.
How many parents and how many of us are in the same boat, right?
Yeah,
so my dad, he's like, oh, well, one day. So he I don't know. Sorry, I'm going to segue your story because that's what I do. I'm Mr. Tangent. I should change this to the Tangent podcast, but he said, we're talking, I don't know why when I do my dad, he sounds like, I'm like,
It's got to sound like Mac.
it's not going to sound like him at all. It sounds like you make my voice deeper. I make him sound like, somebody, a big redneck duck farmer
Krusty
or
the
something.
Clown.
Yeah. So he's like, well, Andy. I know that's not him. He said, we went hiking in the park, and I was like, oh, this hill is kind of tough. And then all of a sudden, my heart was all a-fluttery, and I couldn't catch my breath. And so I turned to my family and said, he's got a secondary family.
Right.
He's like, I got to lay down. So he's laying down on the side of the trail, because, if you lay, then
wow.
your heart has to pump less.
Yes.
It's like, whatever.
Yep, gravity.
Gravity. And he's laying there. So he goes to the doctor, and he's like, I think the pacemaker that's in my heart is messed up because it was not. And so the guy's like doing running tests. He's got like I guess it's a RFID tag in there or whatever, Wi-Fi, I don't know. So they're like pulling the measurements. He's like, I can see the date and I can see the time and everything looks okay. Mac, do me a favor. Go up those steps and then come back to me and tell me how you feel. And he went up the steps and comes back. He's like, yeah, I feel the same. He's like, so I think it's just you haven't exercised.
You're just in really bad shape.
Right. And he's like, so my dad is just awesome with stuff. He's like, well, damn, that's funny. I guess I should do something. And that part he does sound like. So
Yes.
he is walking the dog more and stuff. But
Good for him.
everybody gets to this place. You're like, I forgot.
Yes.
And feebleness is chasing us down. And feebleness will win.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to die from something. I don't want it to be I just didn't do anything. Let it be like I was skydiving.
Yep.
Well, that's actually a bad way to die. So not
Yeah,
that, but right.
that
There was an adventure. I was having the time of my life.
I have a good friend named Charles Wilkes. He says he wants to die at the age of 99 at the hands of a jealous husband.
That is pretty funny. I don't know how I can work that into my daily bad dad jokes. So I tell a lot of bad dad jokes at the gym because dad jokes don't make fun of anybody. It's like sarcasm, but I call it funchasm. So that sort of stuff, that's great. I'll have to work that one in there somewhere. Okay, so,
All right, so we're
parents
back.
don't do anything. And
Yes. So I decided I want to be more like Dan when I'm in my 70s
Right.
than like Mom when
Right.
I'm in my 70s.
And why then? What
And-
happens? Why like, it's,
Well, it was just the fact that I had to help her get on and off the toilet. That was the epiphany. right?
So you said something even more powerful. I'm going to see if I can back you
Oh,
into
okay.
it like a
Yeah, go
dump
ahead.
truck here. Beep,
Yeah.
beep. So it's not specifically that you had to help your mom, but you didn't want who to have to help you.
Oh, I didn't want my kids to have to help me. Like, I don't want to get to that point and have
Right.
Maddie and Wes go, all right, we got to go help Dad use the toilet again. Right.
And so I think this is the most powerful part of it all is people eventually get the sticky why.
Yeah.
The wake up call, the whatever it is. You're like, this is why I do it. I don't
Yep.
really care about my scores on the wall. I mean, CrossFit is a little bit competitive if
Sure.
you want it to be.
Yeah, of course.
But it's by far in all the fitnessy stuff I've done, and I'm an engineer. I approach it with an engineering mindset. What's giving me the biggest bang for the buck? What's got most longevity and range of motion, all this stuff? And CrossFit is the shortcut to all of this stuff. You literally can work out for 30 minutes a day and be like, I am defeating
Time.
Yeah,
Yep.
Father Time or whoever he is,
So,
Mother Time.
so for
whatever.
those
Yeah,
of
go.
you
Yeah.
listening to this podcast, what Andy just said over the last 60 seconds, I've heard approximately 8,352 times over the last decade.
From me?
Andy.
From me, yeah.
Yes.
But-
Hey, Kim, if you do this CrossFit, it can help you with the range of motion. You can defeat Father Time. And
I like, again, my voice is deeper. Thank you.
And every time I heard it, I was like, that's great, Andy. I'm going to go have another
Like
donut
from,
and watch a movie.
Do they still do Charlie Brown?
Did
Did they do that? I don't even know if people know what that means.
Probably
Yeah.
not.
It's so
Anyone
sad
under
when
30,
people,
like,
yeah,
what?
like, what is a Charlie Brown?
Excuse me. So anyway, so it finally, the 8,353rd time you
Yes.
said it, it sunk in. So I had the moment, and then
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I can try that CrossFit thing
Right.
again, but now I'm older and smarter, and I won't push myself to the
Yeah.
point where I vomit, which I have been successful. I've been doing it for like 3.5 months, hadn't vomited a single time.
So it is fascinating to me because you ask, so we're friends first,
Yep.
and then I'm a CrossFit-ish guy that has some stupid business. Like, I still don't understand why you do that. But at the gym, I'm usually the owner first.
Yeah.
And so people don't ask me the questions. And so it's been fun to hear your story because you're asking me things like, when do I get to chalk?
Right. When do I get to use the chalk?
I'm like, what?
Whenever you want to use
Yeah,
the chalk. What are you
just not on
talking
a
about?
run.
Yeah.
Chalk,
Put it on my feet.
chalk your face, right? Right? I'm like, this is great. No, these are good questions. I
Yes.
mean, this is going through normal people's minds, and like, what do I do? So, okay, so you choose. I have a very sticky why,
Yeah.
which I really feel like it's like they say, everyone's a believer when you're in a foxhole and bombs are going off around you, right?
yeah.
When you have a sticky why or a very impactful reason,
Yep.
like, I don't like digging foxholes until the bombs are going off. You're like, I wish I would have dug it deeper, right? Whatever.
Yep.
So you get something that's like, this is super sticky. Okay, so then you start with, we have a shout out to them because all the people who listen to this might be like, hey, I'm in Athens or Jefferson County.
Jackson County, but
Jackson,
whatever.
I'm so far out here, I had to use my passport to get across the line to get to.
Yes.
So what's the name of the CrossFit gym?
So it's Kopa CrossFit, Kopa, which is like a combination of the two owners' last names, Miles and Jeremy. Hey, Miles and Jeremy.
Have you talked to them? Do you know them? Do they coach you? Or anything?
Jeremy doesn't coach much. He's never coached me. His wife Delina, who can more or less kick my ass at everything, coaches me quite a bit.
Okay.
She's there quite a bit, and then I don't see Miles very often. I see him like every now and then, but they're super people. The gym is actually fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great combination. It's got the whole spectrum of amazing athletes who can do everything great. There's this guy named Jonathan, and I'm sorry, John, I can't remember your last name, but
Smith.
We'll just say Smith. And between him and his wife, they're like super athletes. Every time I'm in there with them, I'm like, my gosh, how are they this good?
Right.
It's and then there are people like me who are just like, hey, I'm
gonna do this
I'm
thing.
kind of old and fat and out of shape, and I'm gonna show up and try to get less fat and out of shape.
And of course, when you walked in, everyone judged you and told you were a loser.
Right, I felt like all the eyes were on me. No, the first.
And that's not true. Nobody ever does that. But you feel that way, which is weird. But everyone's so it is the most interestingly friendly cult environment. They're like
100%. Even whether it's John or Delina or anyone else who's there who's in amazing shape, or people who even aren't in amazing shape, kind of like Nick. Everyone is just encouraging everyone else. It's competitive, but you're really competing with yourself.
That's right.
You're not. No one is going to worry if I beat them at everything. They want me to do better than I did. Yes, and that probably won't ever happen.
Because there's always something. You're like, oh, you're about to balance taxes. I got it.
Yeah. So everyone is encouraged. Everyone is super supportive, right? When we're doing a timed exercise and everyone else is done and I'm still trying to finish. Literally everyone in the gym is like, keep going, Cameron, you got it, you can do this, right? Like it's a community,
so
it's
they call you
encouragement. Cameron, dumbass,
that's what I'm picking up on this
yes.
story right here.
Yes.
Is you just changed your name from Cam to Cameron?
Cam to Cameron,
I knew another guy who did that. And I had a really hard time.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother podcast. What's up, Charlie?
What's up? So I can do Uncle Charles, no problem.
Right.
I just can't. My brain has been wired for too long.
Right.
With shock therapy.
It's Charlie. Yes. Exactly.
So So, I would bet, real money or Bitcoin or whatever. That all the gyms are like that. Or how about 999 of 1,000, so is that 0.1%, are going to be judgmental. But if you ask them, hey, are you a competitor's gym? They'll tell you yes. And you probably just don't want to go to that gym.
Go there.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we've got some guys who went to the games, and if anybody comes to our gym, they're like, look, I'm going to the games. I'm like, can you beat me? Because if I beat you at 50, man, there's not really much chance you're going to the games, right? Now, if maybe an 18-year-old came in and they're working overtime, but if it's a 30-year-old, I'm like, do you have a regular life, a job? And it's just not good. It's a different. Doing game stuff is actually unhealthy for you. It's unsustainable. Anyway, so we usually send them to two different gyms that have games competitors.
If that's what they really want.
Yeah, so CrossFit CrossFit Bound has Brandon Phillips, who literally went to the games and multiple times. The dude is phenomenal. And then an old coach of mine, I forgot the name of his gym, he changed it, but we just send him over to Alpharetta.
Okay.
Right. So if you walk into any gym, they're going to be accommodating, they're going to be helpful. And the members, weirdly, everyone was brand new at one point.
At some point.
And they're like, we want you to succeed.
Yep.
So
speed. Do we still have time? Am I okay to go down another?
We got a lot of time.
Okay.
So this is sort of like Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh, it just goes on forever?
It can go on for as long as you want.
But we're not smoking pot, so there's the one difference.
I'm drinking a lot of coffee.
That's
so
true.
I do have a buzz going on.
It's like the opposite of pot, actually.
And people can listen to times 2 speed, so they can speed us up, so it makes it much
Stephanie
faster.
does that, but everyone sounds funny.
No, it's great. That's what I do. I love it. Yeah. I'm trying to work on 2.5 speed.
Okay. Gotcha. So I'll tell another story about the gym and people. So there's this lady who often works out at the same time I do. So because the classes are all timed, right?
Yeah.
So Stacy, and I again won't use her last name because I didn't ask her permission, but I've told her before. I'm like, your story is amazing.
Yeah.
It's super inspiring. So Stacy is she said she's been doing CrossFit for 5 years, and she's she can beat me at just about everything. And I'd say Stacy's like, 10-ish years younger than me. Like,
Right.
she's probably not quite 40,
Yeah.
right? Stacy, if you're listening.
Yeah, she's 29?
Yeah, she's
Perfect,
definitely
yeah,
29.
right, yeah.
So, but anyway, but she's in good shape. Like, she can really lift and
Right.
do everything. She beats me on time and everything. And you wouldn't look at her like she doesn't look like she's a super athlete, right? But she's really, really good.
Yeah.
And she
Form
was
and function mean a lot.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! I mean, anyway, she's amazing. Every time we work out together, I'm like, that woman is incredible.
Yeah.
But so what she told me was she has basically lost, and I won't give the weights beginning and end, but essentially she's lost like between 100 and 150 pounds.
Right.
Over the
Over
last
5
5
years?
years, because
That's
she
the way
was
to do it.
she was so, yes, over time for sure. But she said she had just gotten to the point where, like, even playing with her kids, kind of like your dad, like, she was winded just
Right.
trying to play with her small children,
Right.
and she knew that wasn't good. So
Right.
she said, "Man, I got to do something." So she did CrossFit, and now she's lost like between 100 and 150 pounds over a period of time, and is
Yes.
in amazing
Right.
shape. I mean, again, she didn't go on some crash diet and lose a bunch of weight. Like, she has built muscle, and she can. It amazes me
Right.
how much she can beat me at.
So if you
right?
do
Which
things
is
over
incredible.
time, health, fitness, weight, whatever, do it over time.
Yeah.
It's sustainable. So they call it a crash diet because there's a wreck at the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody gains that weight back. I've seen people do that Optavia thing, which, hey, if you need it, great. There's no perfect.
Yes,
Try stuff,
correct.
test and measure,
Yeah.
write down the notes. But almost
Yep.
everyone that I've seen do that like calorie deficient diet,
Yeah.
yes, there are some dramatic changes in the
Sure,
short term.
absolutely.
You're lightheaded and you're like passing out at stoplights.
But how can you sustain it over
And
time?
then it usually comes back plus some
Yeah.
because you go overboard. But in reality, if you could just turn your ship 1 degree
Yep.
and then let that compound interest over time, right? So I come to the gym 5 days a week and I just do what I can. Like, some days are just move days. It doesn't matter, but I'm there and the habit's there. And doing these movements, getting your hips below parallel,
Yep.
getting yourself on the ground then up again, all those things will push your health and fitness small bits over time.
Yep.
If you want to, I know you said you hadn't changed your eating yet. I mean, I saw the
Oh yeah.
Cinnabon.
Yeah. I'm still.
So,
I work out to eat now.
that's right, and you don't necessarily have to, right?
Yeah.
But I think being around all the healthy people, eventually you start looking at some of the things and going, maybe I'll try that, or I'll just add water,
Right.
like you did, right,
Yep.
to what I'm drinking rather than sweet tea or whatever it was.
And the gym, I'm sure, like most CrossFit gyms, like they push health a lot. Like they actually have a separate subset.
You mean
class.
nutrition?
Nutrition.
'Cause,
Sorry.
that's right. They all push
Nutrition.
health. Yeah. We want you to be healthy.
Freaking
please.
healthy people. So yeah. So
We
they
have
push,
extra words to describe this.
they push nutrition, right? I mean, I've never done nutrition
yeah.
before,
yeah.
so I
You
don't
never-
know what it is.
It's pixie sticks, right?
Yeah. Right. So, and yeah, maybe one day I'll do that. But I thought, you know what? I got to take this one step at a time. So
That's
let me
it.
start the exercise thing. If I can get this, build it into a good, healthy habit, then
Right.
yeah, then maybe I'll eat just a little bit better. So, but I really enjoy eating too. So, anyway, I don't know where we were.
No, so
I got lost.
I'm going
I
to
got
segue us
lost.
into keep
Yes.
going. That's what I do.
Okay.
So there's a thing that people are into called 75 hard. Have you heard of that? So it's
Sounds
70
like medicine for an old man.
Yeah, it's 75 days that you do, like, I think 12 incredibly hard things. And it's not really that incredibly hard. Like, one of them is read 10 pages a day. For me, that is incredibly hard, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can listen to that. But
Right.
then there's other things like you're going to cold plunge or shower or whatever. You're going to say thank you to people. So some of it's not that hard. You're going to work out twice a day. Anyway, I'm a true believer of don't do thank you again for all the coffee. I am so jittery. I love it. Yes.
That's how I like to have lead people.
So I guess we need to put a tip here. Did you tip earlier?
I did tip earlier.
I'll probably do
Yeah.
extra tip because
Okay.
we're just sitting here taking her table.
Yeah.
But so all the people out there that like don't tip people because
Yeah,
they're
tip
doing their
people,
job,
especially
right.
now.
Yeah.
If they're showing up to work in a food service
Man.
industry, like that means something.
Yeah.
So yeah, tip your
Well,
waitress. I'm
she's
here
the
till
boss,
Thursday.
but whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't do too many things that are hard. So I would love to do something called 30 Days Easy. Just show up.
I mean,
Just show up.
I had 15 years easy
Yeah.
before I started.
Maybe
the
not that
CrossFit,
easy.
So, okay.
30 days medium. So like I tell my back hurts right now. I'm not sure why. Probably because I'm a dumbass in many ways
Yep.
and I did something. But I'm still going to the gym and I follow our programming. I just do it lighter. So
Sure.
it was like We had overhead squats and then thrusters. Both times I did 35 pounds.
Yeah.
And of course the coaches look at me and they cut their eyes. And
Like, what are you doing?
And they're like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But you just go and you show, keep up the habit of getting there.
100%. And
Yeah.
as Coach Danny at our gym likes to say, and Coach Danny has a lot of sayings he likes, but one of the things he says that I
He
think
who
is...
beats around the bush. No, not that one.
But one of the things Danny says that I totally agree with, he says, hey, if you're doing something and it hurts, stop doing it.
Yes, no, for sure.
Not muscle soreness.
Yeah.
Muscle soreness is okay,
Yeah.
but hurt. If it's actually painful,
Right, we tell people that all the
Stop
time.
doing it.
Like, hey, my shoulder, I'm like, great, don't do that.
Right.
So we put up, weirdly in business, you should put up your mantras or whatever, right? This is who we want, who we are.
Yeah.
So we like to say, we're happy, humble, helpful people who would be healthy and fit now, as well as in our 90s. So if
Nice.
that hurts,
yeah.
do you think you can do it in your 90s? Like, no, well, let's rehab it and figure out that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm not saying avoid it, like, hey, but like we've had people come in and they're like, the doctor told me not to use my knees because my knees messed up. Don't bend. I'm like, seriously, is that really going to be a thing you can do is not use your knees?
Yeah.
Like, no. He said the other thing I could do is really try to strengthen it. And so I'm choosing strengthening. I'm like, great, well, here we are. Let's do it properly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so do medium things. And then, so I like this thing that you're doing where, hey, I'm working out. It's kind of hard. I'm feeling a little bit better. Weirdly, CrossFit never gets easier because you're going to end up pushing yourself a little bit more.
Right,
And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, wait a minute, I'm just as tired as I was. Yeah. So it's like cocaine, where, I don't know, that's not probably the right, I know.
probably not a good analogy
No, it
for
is.
your
It's like a
gym.
drug where you need more of it to get the same high.
Of course.
So fitness is the same way. As you get fitter,
Right.
like if you
gotta do more.
just did a 20-minute 5K every day, eventually it doesn't have the return.
Right.
And so you need to push a little bit more. And so
Yep.
CrossFit gives you that opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to push a little harder, or I'm going to lift a little bit more, or I'm going to do one more rep.
Right. Well, and so that's the great thing about CrossFit, right? Is you can just add a little more weight, do a few more reps,
Right.
or do what you're doing but do it faster, right? And therefore do more in the same period of
Right.
time. Like it's actually very scalable.
Yes,
Right.
modify on scalable, so anybody can do it. We got, not anybody. So I would say that if you have like some very specific issues, you may need a specialty CrossFit gym.
Yep.
Like we probably would have a hard time. I don't know, whatever. There's certain things. So is it for everyone? Sure, but not every gym is for everybody. But
Right.
CrossFit is just functional movements executed at high intensity over a broad time and modal domain. So
Yep.
what does that mean? I'm standing up and getting down, I'm moving, I'm doing this and that. It's just the normal things we would do anyway. Yeah. Okay,
For
so
sure.
how long have you been in, you said it's been 3 months?
I started at the beginning of January. Here we are, middle of April, so 3.5 months.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with one of the funny things. You're like, when can I use chalk? I was like, hey, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Anytime you want, just not while running. And then you said, is it normal for that lady to keep beating me?
And it wasn't just, it was that lady and that lady
Yeah.
and that, like
I mean-
everyone. You got like this skinny 25-year-old who I look at and go, there's no way she can lift more than me. Bang, she's
lifting
lifting more.
more, yeah.
I'm like, what is going on?
And that's okay. So weirdly, you let go of the ego.
Perfect. And I think I told you this. Like the first thing they said to me, by the way, shout out to, I've mentioned a lot of people at Kopa CrossFit. Coach Ashley, who's the head coach, is amazing. She like helped me the first day I showed up, and she's just a really good coach.
Yeah.
She's a super athlete. She is definitely a super athlete. But everything she does is done to help whoever she's working with at their level, right? So she does just a phenomenal job. She can work with me.
Coaching, right?
Coaching, yes.
If
right.
you're just,
you don't have the same
We have a lot of
person.
gyms, unfortunately, that just read off the board.
Yeah.
And then be like, everyone go and do. And there's not actual, so we want to help you get to where you are, meet it there, and then progress you a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
She can help Jonathan, the guy who looks like he's the Hulk.
Jonathan Smith.
Right? Jonathan Smith, and she can help me.
Right.
So she does a great job. But anyway, the thing she said to me the very first day I showed up, she was like, I had email and they're like, yeah, come in, you get your intro class, blah blah blah. And the very first thing she said is, check your ego at the door.
Yeah.
She's like, look, this is not, if you look at someone else, me or anyone else, and go, I should be able to do what they're doing, it ain't gonna work.
Right.
You're competing against yourself.
And it's if you can't let it go.
Right.
So that's what, happy, humble, helpful. If you're not humble, it's not going to work out well here for you at our gym. We want you to want to help and be smile, whatever.
Yep.
But so we've had the one particular couple I'm thinking of, this has happened a lot, but there was this a husband-wife that were both EMTs. I don't remember who they are. It was a long time ago. I mean, in my head it was about a year ago, so it means it could have been 10 years ago because, yeah, time just does that thing. I'm in my DeLorean. Anyway, it was back in the day when we didn't really have a ramp or foundations. It was just, come to class and we'll figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So it was probably 10 years ago. And his wife, turns out that she is more athletic and fit than he is as a bodybuilder. So he has too much muscle that he couldn't move. And CrossFit does not favor the unprepared. No, luck favors the prepared, darling.
Right.
So CrossFit favors a athletic body, not a muscular body. So if you're too big, sometimes this can be a problem,
Fair.
right?
Yep.
And so she crushed him in the workout. And he was like, CrossFit is the dumbest thing in the world. You guys are idiots. We're never coming back. Because she just left smiling. So I'm
Right.
sure there was like an internal debate relationship.
Yeah.
But he couldn't let it go. And so I'm like, yeah, it's not for you. If you can't see that
Right.
athleticism is hidden inside of the athlete and what you can do. Yeah, she just, anyway, yeah, you have to let it go. So, okay, so other funny one was, is it always going to hurt this bad?
I think that was after like the first or second week because, man, in the first or second week, I mean, I would leave the gym and go, I feel like I'm going to die. Like this.
So what would you tell somebody who's just starting?
Okay, so if you're just starting and you're like me, you're coming off a long period of inactivity.
Yeah.
You are going to feel like you're going to die,
Yeah.
right? Even if you scale it, which I did at Ashley's coaching, right?
Yeah.
I scaled everything. Like she had me start, like you just use the bar right
Yeah.
now. You don't put any weight.
So a little embarrassed probably.
Not as much. Like, yes, when I was 35, I probably would
But
have
now
been.
you know, you're like, everyone does that.
Right.
Why would I be?
100%. That's
Right.
the amazing thing. Like, now I see someone else doing it, and I'm like, that's cool.
That's exactly what
where
I did.
was. Yeah.
So almost what we should say is people who've been doing this for like 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months or whatever should
Yeah.
come up to every brand new person and say, I was just there.
Yeah.
Look at me now.
Right.
You can do this.
Right. That's
really-
right.
Okay, so I should write a note because that actually would be really helpful.
Yeah.
I should probably do
just-
that in my own gym.
Just video some people saying that and put it on your video
Right,
board or
there you
something.
go.
So, yeah, I don't remember what we were talking about because I'm old.
Brand new person.
Brand new
Yeah,
person.
What would you do?
Yeah, what would
That's
you say?
What I do.
There
That's
you
what
go.
I do.
So,
bring us back. I'm tangent and I bring
you
us
are
back.
tangent man.
I am.
My
That's what I
gosh.
do.
It gets you a little shirt.
I'm into
tangent.
geometry because I'm not kidding. No more
Oh,
tangents,
okay,
right? Yeah, I was gonna do a tangent.
Please,
joke.
let's no math.
I have
no
a lot of
math on
math
the-
jokes.
Yeah.
I have. It's
Yeah.
like binary. I got 3 math jokes. Yeah, thank you. So Cam also went to Georgia Tech, but he was in management. But he did start off in mechanical engineering.
It's undecided.
And so he
yeah.
understood that binary only
I
has
understood the joke
2.
only because I got to take and fail calculus a couple of times before I decided to be a
So
management major.
super tangent here. Sorry,
Yes.
but it's on binary.
Yeah.
I think this is hilarious. So my household is full of STEM kids.
Yep.
That might sound bad. Science, technology, engineering, and math.
There you go.
STEM, that type, and not
Right.
stem cell or
They're
whatever.
not
I don't,
STEMmy,
I
yeah.
don't know. So Evie, the youngest one, has been around this craziness of my family with the plethora of dad jokes and funchasm and sometimes sarcasm. So she has the young humor, which is too old for her. Like, you know what I mean? Like the youngest kid
The
always
people
knows.
her age don't understand.
Yeah,
what
and
you
so she's in this. She goes to Fellowship Christian, and they're in a Bible project group. So they're doing this Bible project, and they're like, "Hey, get in groups of 3s, randomly assigned." So it's her and another girl, and then some boy who doesn't do anything, Timmy. And so Timmy. So they have to evaluate each other at the end of the project, right? And so it's like on a scale of 0 to 5, how did your teammates do in this? So Tina turns to Evie and says, "Hey, how did you rate Timmy?" She goes, "I gave him a binary review." And so we're in the car and she's telling me this story and I bust out laughing. And she's like, "Right? That's funny." And I said, "It is funny. Let me guess. Tina didn't laugh."
did not understand that.
And she's like, "No, Tina didn't laugh." And I'm like, "Okay, so you might have to explain that joke to her." Because I don't know if any like 8th grader knows what binary is. And well done, child. Well done. So
They're thinking male, female.
yeah, well, I don't know. No, they wouldn't. I don't even know what. But yeah, and so I said, of course, you gave from all 1s and 0s. She's like, "Yeah, exactly."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, that's funny." So we just did we per the recommendations of her teachers, we went to a psychologist, psychotherapist, whatever, and they do these battery of studies to see if you're dyslexic and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am dyslexic, and my dad is dyslexic, and I can see it in my child, right? So I knew the test would say she was, but tangent on a tangent. So the test comes back, and she'll never listen to this, so she won't hear it. But
Okay,
yeah,
good.
so this is good stuff for her. But they said don't tell her. But so they did an IQ test inside of all these things, and they're measuring 20 things, and
Yeah.
also is going to show them where she's delinquent.
Yeah.
And of course, like spelling and stuff was like below the charts.
Right.
But I think the scale for the IQ test was 130 or 131 was like the top.
Yeah, yeah.
She scored 126 on her IQ test. I'm like, what? So of course she's gonna have bad dad jokes
Right.
that are so like.
She's gonna laugh when no one else is.
Exactly. It's just I do that all the time. The number of jokes I don't tell,
Right.
I mean, I don't think anybody else is gonna laugh. Right?
It is, and you probably do the same thing, but it's amazing how many times I will tell a joke with my family, I will bust out laughing, and they're all looking at me like, why are you,
Yeah,
that's
that's not
the
even
dumbest thing in the world. Why are you even
If I was
laughing?
with my Georgia Tech buddies,
Yeah,
they'd all be
there
laughing.
is Andy and Glenn and Jeff and Charlie would
They would all
laugh.
be laughing. Okay, so brand new person,
Yeah,
go easy. We do a bring a friend week twice a year.
Yeah.
And we tell people when you bring your friend, tell them to go easy. And I tell them go easy, like, hey, it's a 15-minute workout. What I want you to do is every 30 seconds, pause for 30 seconds. So it's like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, right? And they're like, no. I'm like, trust me, you really want to do this.
Yes.
So most of them don't.
Right.
And then I asked the member about their friend. They're like, they're still hurting.
Yeah, yes, it
They-
is. So, and you've said it, like the hurting never goes away. Like
Right.
here I am 3.5 months into it, I still am hurting.
It's a different
after
hurt, though.
It is. So
Yeah.
it's not as intense. I don't feel like that's very generous of you, Andy.
Yeah, well, it's cash, too.
It
I don't
is
even know if they
cash.
know what that
yeah.
is.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Megan knows what
Yeah.
that is.
So, segue on cash here.
Yes.
I had to go to the. Yeah, I know.
Tangent.
This is all you guys for like. What is cash and do you carry it? I had to go to the probate court people in Cherokee to pay a ticket. Me and Levi went up there, and so anyway, I'm trying to scare him into like don't speed, of course,
Right.
whatever. And I'm like, what are you gonna tell the judge when he says, hey buddy, did you know you were speeding? Or why were you speeding? He's like, well, I needed to go fast to get to the place on time. I'm like, you don't. Why would you say that to him? You say,
not the right
yeah,
response.
I take the fifth, or I didn't know I was speeding, right? So it was pretty funny. So we did, anyway, we get up there, and they're like, hey, actually, your penalty is up here, a level 10. We're gonna drop it to a level 5, but double the fee. Are you okay with that? I'm like, oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
So we
Who
go to
wants
the
your money?
counter. We go to the counter, and in a big print, it says, we do not accept cash.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute. It actually says on here you have to accept it for its legal tender. So the government is not accepting its government.
Yeah, the government that printed, well, it's not the same government.
Yeah.
Federal government printed
Right.
cash.
Sure,
You're
that's
dealing with
true.
the county
Yeah.
government. But anyway, yeah, it's funny you say that. I actually asked, I won't get into where I work, but I asked our corporate attorney at a meeting recently, like, because we don't take cash at some locations, we're business to business mostly,
Right.
but we deal with the public a little bit. And I said, can we do that? Because it literally says on cash, good for all debts, public and private.
Right.
He said, legally we can, in fact, not take cash.
Yeah,
There's not a problem.
I think it is. So it says it on there. There's like
Yeah.
all these rules that they passed
Right.
that people don't actually, I don't know,
Right.
follow. Like it's
Yeah.
the law in Kennesaw.
Right.
So for all the people that listen in Moscow or Australia, I don't know,
Canada.
in the city or county, city in the city just south of us, or for me just south of me, they passed a law saying every homeowner has to own a gun.
Yeah.
And so they exported the crime. Because they're like, why take the chances?
Right.
But they
Because
don't
thieves
enforce
are not
it.
stupid. They're
Yeah.
not
No,
all
like,
stupid.
why would I?
Wait, everyone there owes a gun? I think I'll
Or at
go
least
break into
the
someone
law
else's
says
house.
they
Yes.
should. So the chances are like, whatever, I'll just escape that way.
Yep.
You want to go outside, so it's getting louder?
Sure,
in
we
here?
can do that.
We'll go outside.
Yep. Oh yeah, I stole this mic on.
Did it? Okay, I think this is still recording on the same one. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Woo. Every time I pause, I'm unsure. Technology sometimes eludes me, even though I went to tech.
You're
I
right,
feel
you
like
are an engineer.
I am. So, brand new people, what would you tell them? My leg hurts.
Yeah, so stuff's gonna hurt. I guess this thing can still hear me. This is weird.
Yeah, it's technology.
Yeah.
You can hear. So we're going to talk in my car creepily. We're going to park,
So stuff,
which means something different back in the 80s.
Yeah, so stuff is definitely gonna hurt. Keep doing it. It ends up not hurting as badly once you've done it for a few weeks and your body gets used to this is what you want me to do. Okay, gotcha.
So what would you put how about this? When you started, did you put much emphasis on warming up and stretching afterwards?
So maybe not right when I start, although I stretch more now than I did when I started, but I was stretching I just mentioned to Andy before he hit the unpause that my Achilles is bothering me. So I was
didn't mean to do
definitely
that.
stretching my Achilles because I have Achilles tendonitis, and my doctor said you need to stretch before you work out every single time. You need to. He asked me, "Are you stretching?" I'm like, "No, losers stretch." He's like, "Okay, you need to stretch." So now, before I play pickleball, before I do CrossFit, whatever, I stretch it. And I've recently, because I had a little episode where I couldn't walk for a weekend, so I've started icing. Yes, it was like I was limping. I was like,
was it Achilles or was it?
No, it was the Achilles.
Okay.
So I've got plantar fasciitis on one foot, Achilles tendonitis on the other. So I'm
so
definitely
two things
an old
I've tried
man.
to remember. I can help you with.
So, but I
got this cream.
ice after. Oh yeah, no, you keep your cream to yourself. I ice after the workout now. So I stretch before, I ice after. Someone recently said, no, you got to put some heat on it and then ice it, whatever. Anyway, radio.
Right. So that is something people are. Yes. So rice.
Yep.
Rest.
Ice, compression, elevation.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're like, that doesn't really.
I was a lifeguard.
Yeah, that's right. You guarded my life for so long. Remember that time? No. So it's if you put heat on it, it'll accelerate blood flow, right? There's this other thing they do. I'm going to say it's like, I think it's like voodoo tape, but the idea is blood restriction. So you take this like big rubber band and you wrap it around super, super tight, and then you flex, and then you undo it. And weirdly, it helps a lot.
Really?
So, yeah, it's super strange. So look up voodoo tape. It's probably not the right name for it, but it's like or blood deprivation to that area, and it seems to help out. So the other thing I was going to say is we used to do, so it was kind of, at the time it made sense, but now looking back on it, it's super weird. So we would do the super friend calf smash. So you get a friend to do you guys have rollers at the gym?
Yep.
Yeah. So get a friend. So you're sitting on your rear and you put your ankle on the roller, and then they go back and forth like left and right. Mm-hmm. And then you scoot it down a little bit and you roll some more. And so in retrospect, like people touching other people's sweaty legs, it's like, hey, we all just worked out. You're super sweaty and gross. Yeah. Would you guys like to touch each other's leg? So you could do it to yourself. You just put one foot on top of the other and let it roll for pressure or whatever.
Yeah.
But so if you do that and you just keep rocking it, so it goes from like your heel way up here, and then you roll it all the way to your knee bend. Yeah. And it like you just roll on your calf and it helps release that pressure.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So on the plantar fasciitis, take your shoe off. Do you have lacrosse balls or baseballs at the gym?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, take your shoe off and put it on your foot on the thing and just roll it around.
We've actually I've done the ball thing at home, and Stephanie's actually got this little like spiky thing you can put your foot on and roll it back and forth.
So those things are good. The other one, and Verity turned me onto this, is very weird for solutions, but it's take lemongrass oil. So get one of those essential oils from doTERRA or whatever. Yeah? Yeah, more of that. Sorry.
More of that.
I don't know how to make my car work yet. I bought it used. Oh, there we go. And so when you buy a used car, they don't tell you anything about it. They're like, great, you bought it. Bye.
Yeah, thanks for your money.
How do I actually turn it on?
Yeah.
Like, it's a button. Like, son of a gun.
Where do I put the key in?
There's not even a key. What do I do? I just use... Yeah. So lemongrass oil, which will turn that area like yellow, so watch out. Like I put it on my hands and then rubbed it, and then my fingertips are like yellow. I'm like, what the?
But they smell lemony fresh.
They did. It was lemony fresh. And then so weirdly for plantar fasciitis, I don't know why, but that seems to work. Yeah. There's also that knees over toe guy, which I like to listen to. So he's pretty fascinating. Yeah. It's a basic. Well, fix your meniscus tear or your ACL tear by doing other stuff.
So funny. Now I'm going to go down the tangent because I don't know if you remember, I tore the meniscus in my right knee when we were in college. Right. Wasn't bad enough for surgery, right? Because the doctor was like, first of all, I went in and I thought I was dying. He's like, you're being a big baby. I was like 20 years old. He's like, you need to man up a little bit.
So, and that's like, that was medicine in the 80s. Right. Like, they don't get it sometimes. They're like, why are you so mean? I'm like, look, I had dyslexia. And they're like, hey, Tard, fix it. And they're like, okay. And you're like, I don't. So it was just a different
It was a different time. He did not put leeches on my knee, which is good. Funny, but he basically said, like, look, if you were a scholarship athlete, we'd probably operate, but you're not. So we're just going to, I know that's shocking. So he said, we're just going to put a brace on it. You're going to hobble around on crutches for like 6 weeks. It's going to heal. And? He said, maybe one day when you're old, you might need surgery. You might do something to screw it up
Right.
again and whatever. So then fast forward to my daughter's wedding 2 summers ago, which you were at.
I was. It was a great
and
wedding.
I was
We
dancing
danced.
like a fool.
Oh,
you
yeah.
were dancing like a fool.
You were doing the one-legged hop thing.
I
I'm
was
like,
doing the hop thing.
What are you
and
doing?
And it was out in a field, right? If you
Yeah.
remember, we had it
Yeah.
at the family farm. And not hopping, but just as I was walking, my foot goes into a hole. It twists a certain way. And I was like,
I think I did
oh, that's something I haven't
Yeah.
felt since college. So, the next day I was limping like crazy. It was bad. So I was a bit concerned because that wasn't that long ago. I basically just ignored it and did no activity, and it got a little better, but it still bothers me a little. But interestingly, now that I've done the CrossFit for 3.5 months, it feels to me like it's getting better because the muscles are basically CrossFit works every single muscle in your body at some point. Like probably even the muscles in my eyelids get a little workout when I'm
squeeze,
in CrossFit. So, so it's incredible. But
Thank you.
So when I first started,
I'm going to work that into my conversations. Even your eyelids.
Even your eyelids.
You have another one. I'm going to listen to this and find that other one you said. But yeah, okay, go.
So when I talked about the stretching, so one of my stretches, you grab your foot and you pull it to your butt to stretch kind of your quad, right?
Yep.
So I can do that. I can put my foot all the way to my butt on my left side, but on my right side where I tore that meniscus, ever since then, I've never been able to pull it all the way to my butt. Yeah. And since the re-injury at Maddie's wedding, like pulling it even more than just halfway was like, you need to stop doing that.
Yep.
But now that I've been doing the CrossFit for a while, like I still can't touch it to my butt, but I can pull it further, and it doesn't make that weird ouch feeling in it when I pull it, where it used to make the weird ouch feeling. So bottom line is, like, I'm not saying it's magically healed my meniscus, but the muscles around that injury have gotten stronger, which apparently helps compensate for that injury in some way.
And as a good friend, I should like listen to your story and not get fixated on the fact that you said the CrossFit. I can't stop. I can't like a good OCD. The CrossFit, the Facebook. I was on the Twitter.
Yes.
And I was the tweeting. So the CrossFit does do that. So I think I tore my meniscus as well, right? Did I tell you that?
Did you tell
Okay. So I like to say it this way. I don't tell the story. I was stupid enough to tear my meniscus. I say I was healthy and fit enough to be in an adventure race. 20 hours into the race, and I'm running around in my bike shoes. And biking in my bike shoes.
Right.
And when you get off and you go to get the checkpoint, and I got like a rock jammed into the peg or the clip. Yeah. And then later on, they're like, hey, get off your bike and get the checkpoint. I'm like, yeah, I can't. My foot is stuck. And so you basically to get out of those, you kick your heel out to the right, and it's supposed to undo. Mm-hmm. And it didn't. I heard this. I'm like, I think that was my knee. Was that my knee? And so I kept biking. I just didn't clip in after that.
Yeah.
So I tore the meniscus in my knee because I was fit enough, not because I was stupid enough.
Yeah.
And so I went to at 4 years, I'm like, I'm not going to go do anything about it. I'm going to fix it myself. And so finally I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the surgeon. And the surgeon says, hey, you're self-insured? Yeah, I don't think you need to do anything. More tangents. The affordable health care, my insurance as a non-normal working guy, non-W-2 guy, it went from like, when I was first got into like my own business, I think it was like $400 for the entire family. Mm-hmm. At one point, I was paying like $1,700 a month for insurance, and it was illegal for me not to have it. And weirdly, the fine from the government was $1,750, right? So the insurers are like, let's just get them like the worst insurance you can get. I'm like, this is stupid. Now, weirdly, I could afford it, but it hurt.
Right.
Anyway, so
it was more affordable, therefore, because of the Affordable Health Care Act.
So I like the thing that Ron Paul or whoever says that, they're like, you can tell by the name of the bill that they passed that it does the exact opposite. So
the Inflation Reduction Act.
That's right.
We pass it, bang, inflation goes through the roof.
I'm like, dang, if that's not true. So the affordable health care is not, if you're whatever. Anyway, so my knee, he's like, I don't think we should cut you because I can't get all the money I can.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm like, whatever. And so it actually feels fine. Right?
Yep.
So I don't do double unders usually, and I don't do box jumps usually, but missing a box really sucks. So I'm like, I'm fine with stepping.
Yeah, for those who aren't involved in CrossFit, a double under is jump rope, but you're running the rope under your feet twice each time you jump. Or it's what I like to call the thing that crazy people do. So I do single unders, which is just jumping rope.
Normal jump rope.
Yes, back to the range.
Funny thing, in the CrossFit games, they're like, hey, we're doing, I don't know what you call it, crisscross.
Applesauce?
Yeah, double unders or single unders, but with crisscrosses.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a speed rope, it's so light when you crisscross, you can't do it because the rope is too light. So they're like, hey, Andy, did you see what they're doing? Can you do it? And I'm like, yeah. And I went and picked up the old middle school rope we got. It's got those, the red, white.
The little plastic
Yeah, the little plastic things. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm about to crisscross. They're like, how are you doing that? I'm like, because I exercise the muscle of my brain. I know the only way to do that is to have a rope that's heavy enough.
Because I am not left-handed.
And I do not think it means what you think it means. So I start crisscrossing, and they're like, what the hell? I'm like, well, I don't know if I should tell them.
You see.
Anybody could do this if you had a heavy enough rope. So I usually do tell everyone my secrets. I'm like, I always tell them, and that's the secret to CrossFit, or this is how you kip this workout, or this is a tool in your tool bag. And they're like, huh. I'm like, it's just 15 years of doing this and how to
right.
whatever.
Yep.
Okay. So you're 3 months in.
Yep.
People who are like, hey, I haven't done anything for 30 years. We've already told them you can do it. If we can do it, you can do it.
Yep.
What do you see yourself, like, is there a movement or a thing in CrossFit right now that you're like, oh, I like that, besides double unders, that you're like, I want to kind of get that. That's my bane. Like, what are you
like the thing
for?
you want to do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's easy. So, because I try it.
Beat that girl?
I
just want to
if I can ever squat more than Stacy, I will feel so good about myself. And she's like 5'1".
Yeah.
She's this tiny little
She
person.
just has less place to squat. She has less
anyway.
squat.
If she ever listens to this, she's going to be like, you're an a-hole.
But she can lift a lot, so it's kind of a compliment.
She
inside
can
the sandwich.
lift a lot. She's amazing.
Yeah. And how's her range of motion?
So it's probably really good. So I am, speaking of range of motion, that is one of the things of CrossFit, and I will answer your question.
Yeah.
But
no, tangents
that
are
is,
what we do.
it's not just about strength and exercise and getting more fit. Those things are all good, but it does really work on range of motion, which for me is terrible. I am, for some reason, one of the least flexible human beings in the entire world.
So what you're saying, you're so flexible, you're inside of flexible?
I am. I'm in the flexible.
You're inflexible.
Yes.
Perfect. Yes.
So and
do you know
actually,
how to cure that?
So, stretch.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after you work out, stretch.
Stretch.
And it takes 2
before you work
minutes
out,
to elongate.
stretch.
Well, that's warm up. Yeah. But it takes 2 minutes to elongate anything. So if you want, that sounded so bad. Yeah.
Not if you take the right pill.
G-rated.
All right.
Kids, ask your parents where babies come from.
Exactly. Cover your ears, children. Cover your ears.
That was good. So I will still, even right now where it's warm, I work out with sweatsuit. That's not
sweatpants.
Pants and a hoodie on. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just want to be really, really warm so I can stretch after this. So if you hold, bend over and hold that out, you can look at the clock, count for 2 minutes, which is super hard because CrossFitters have ADD, HDDDD, and you don't want to sit there. It's like, doing, what are they, yoga? CrossFitters do yoga. Like, everyone go into downward dog. And they're like, and up. And you're like, 2 seconds of it. You're like, I don't think that does anything. I don't think that's the way it works. But CrossFitters can do it. But so stretch the parts that need to be stretched. So I have this routine that I do for my lower back. I chased a 400-pound deadlift. I did get it, but at the expense of now my back hurts all the time.
Right.
And I think it's just the muscles, they get crampy. But no matter what the workout is, I will get on the PVC pipe roller, because it hurts more, right? It's like dig out your spoon with a heart. No,
dig out your heart with a spoon.
Yeah, because the other way would be harder. You have a spoon.
You are dyslexic.
Yeah. You have a spoon lodged in you.
Conversationally
and we're gonna dig it out with your heart. I don't know how that would even work. Yeah, you should see how fast my mind. Yeah, and I had all the coffee. You can do the coffee. So my routine is I sit on it and roll out the rear end, because it's the rear end, and then I roll my lower back, then further up, then I flip over and I get quads, and then basically get over to the IT band, which makes you want to cry.
Yep.
And so it used to take me 10, 15 minutes to get through the whole routine, but now that I've been doing it for so long, it's 5 minutes of maintenance mode.
Right.
So you just have to do it, and then it becomes easier. But pay attention, hey, what hurts? Okay, well, let's fix those things. Talk to your coach, and then hey, what could I do to actually roll this out? And they'll give you things you're like, I just never thought of that. You know why they thought of it?
Yeah, because they've been doing it.
Because this is what they do.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
If you want to get good investment advice, ask somebody who does that stuff for a living.
So when I first started trying to put the bar in the front rack position,
right?
Yeah. So you're supposed to have it actually on your shoulders,
yes,
with your elbows up. No
That's
one
right.
on the thing can see this, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, his elbows are up. Not really. He looks more like a T-Rex.
Right.
Yeah.
So I literally could I could not get the bar to my shoulders, and the coaches kept saying, no, put it on your shoulders. I'm like, you don't understand. I can't get the bar. Yeah. So Delina, again, one of the wonderful coaches, she was like, let me show you a couple of stretches that are going to help you with flexibility.
That's
and
right.
and it has. I still can't put the bar on my shoulders,
No,
but I can
but
get
you
it
get
closer
and closer. And
than-
also,
than I
heavier
was.
weight does that to you. Gravity will force it down.
Sure, and that's what they said. Put a little weight on there, Nancy
So
boy.
the 30,
So-
like PVC pipe, you're like, everyone, PVC
Yeah,
pipe,
can
you're
get
like,
the PVC
it won't
pipe.
go down. Like, yeah, so you need some.
Yeah.
So it is a weird thing. I tell people like when they're doing certain lifts, let's say you're doing, I don't know, maybe like a squat clean. So you're really getting under the bar, which is really, anyway. So you're going under the bar and they're like, I just can't make that. I'm like, there is a weight that is too light and your body doesn't have to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can fake it. You can like misdo the movement and it's okay because it's light enough for you. You're basically too strong for it. And then there's a heavier side, which is like, I can't even do that weight, but there's somewhere in there, the maximal spot where the supply and demand curve meet, where you get enough feedback that you're like, I can't lift the bar that high, so I must dive under the bar. And so anyway, there's this loading thing that actually comes into play, which is interesting because it can be fearful. Like now, a front squat isn't fearful. I just put it up there. If I can't do it, I just drop it, whatever.
Yeah.
But like some of the Olympic lifts can get you a little worried, but you need that feedback. It's like, if you play a harder team, you will get better, right? So there's like that weird, like the weight and even speed or tired. Like I love it when our athletes are doing the workout and then near the end, their movement becomes beautiful because they're tired and they can't muscle it or fake it. And they're like, oh, my body is naturally doing the things you taught me. I'm like, yes, look at that. That is, anyway.
Very
so
cool.
yeah, so sometimes you need more weight. Other times it is, hey, flexibility, especially if you get yourself warmed up and tired, then go do the flexibility thing. It'll work that much better for you. Okay,
Yep.
So you want to lift as much as Stacy.
So back at the ranch, yeah. So one day lift as much as Stacy. But the thing that I really, really want to accomplish
Yeah.
is to do a legitimate pull-up.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, and I always tell people 25 years or 30 years and 40 pounds ago, I could in fact do a pull-up.
Right.
Right. But now I'm older and much fatter. And so, pull-ups are far more challenging.
Right.
So I can, and I think I've told you this, like when I started the CrossFit at the very beginning back in January, like I could jump up to the pull-up bar
Right.
and maybe pull myself a third of the way.
Right.
And most of that was from the jump. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't,
yeah.
there wasn't a lot of pulling.
Yeah.
So now I'm to the point where I can do a jumping pull-up and I can basically get my chin up to the bar. I can't get
Right.
it over the bar, so I'm not quite hitting it, but I can get it up to the bar. So it's in just 3.5 months, I've made tremendous progress.
Right.
And again, I'm eventually going to do a jumping pull-up, and then I want to be able to actually hang down
Right.
and do one legit pull-up,
Right.
without the jump. That's going to take a lot of time, and I'm going to have to lose some lbs, but I'm doing it.
Years of CrossFit has taught me the tricks to that. You want to know a way to get it right now and be
yeah.
ahead of time, and it's maybe not really all that helpful, but if
Yeah.
you take one of your hands and flip it over, then you're
yeah.
doing a pull-up and a kind of chin-up.
Yeah.
So the motion of pulling is easy to your head and then really hard from your head to your chin.
Right.
But if you flip your hand over, if you're doing a chin-up, the pull-up from the bar to your head is a little harder, but it's easier to finish, right?
Interesting.
So if you flip one hand over, so you got to reverse grip on one,
Yeah.
which it feels weird,
yeah.
but it lets you use a different muscle.
Right.
And you can finish the pull.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't do that yet. But yeah, so the pull-up, and so we just did a thing at the gym, or we're doing a thing, we're in the middle of it. April and May is Gain Your Skills 2 months.
Yep.
So we would do hey, pull-ups are in the workout, and then let's practice some pull-ups and go. And then pull-ups are maybe a week later, or maybe 2 weeks later, or maybe it's 3 days in a row, whatever. But we weren't giving people enough time to practice some of the things in pull-ups. So yours could be, is it a strength thing, right? So I need to either be lighter or lift more. Okay, well if it's strength, let's do that. Or it could be, I don't do the swing nor the kip. Well, if you don't ever practice those things, then weirdly, you're not going to get better at it.
That's true.
So we have all this, we have this write-up of I don't know, I think on the pull-ups, there's 10 different scales and progressions you could be at.
Yep.
And then handstand walks. Okay, probably can't handstand walk now, but there's 10 different line items. And it starts off with, put your hands on the floor and just kick up a tiny bit.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, okay, I can do that. And then it's get to the wall and kick up and touch the wall and come down, right? So we're trying to help people gain these skills. And sometimes you're like, well, I can already handstand walk. This doesn't help me. Well, then handstand walk and practice that. Well, why would I ever need to do that? Yeah, that's true. I probably don't really need to do that, but it is
Maybe.
cool. I don't know. But the same thing for the pull-up. So there is a gymnastics component to it, as well as the strength component to it. So we've got one of our girls in the gym who has an amazing story, and I need to do a podcast with her. It's Coach Laura, and she has some of the most beautiful functional pull-ups, the swing and the kip, everything. I'm like, wow, I need to video her doing this. And it's just like in her story. So she is our nutrition coach, and she has walked down the road of just fix 1% and let time do its thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she helps other people with their nutrition. But and so she's a nutrition coach and a floor coach.
Okay.
So it's just awesome to see it play out. And a new person coming into the gym doesn't know where she came from, right? But if you like take a moment and figure out the story, or know that, man, everyone in this gym or your gym or whatever has a story.
Right.
It's something, and everyone's rooting for you. And weirdly, CrossFit is the shortcut to fitness. You're going to do everything. It's full body range of motion. It's all these things. So if everyone just, I tell people, we have a committed board, and so, or committed side of the board. So anyone who comes 12 times or more gets on that board.
Yep.
And so when we started doing it, it was like 10 people. I'm
Yep.
like, wait, out of, let's say 100 people, only 10 of you are on this list? What the heck? I'm doing something wrong. Or, so some of it was a function of people just didn't log in, which I find strange, log in so you could like put your numbers in there and like track your stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other was we just weren't really like keeping people as accountable. So anyway, fast forward 2 years from then or something like that, we have January, February, and March, we had like 40, 45, and 52 people on the board.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, that is incredible. I would rather have that than like Lifetime, where we have 10,000 Lifetime Gym or Globo Fit, right? Where they have 10,000 members and only 3 of them come, 3% come, like whatever.
Yep.
That's just the stupid way to do fitness. Okay. So let me ask you some other finishing up questions.
Okay.
So wait, this one doesn't make any sense. How did you find us?
The Google.
You didn't even find us. So you found CrossFit Garage because your idiot friend got in business some
Right.
Yeah. So that's not good. So what if anything? It doesn't have to be the best or the worst, but do you have any high-low buffalo for your journey in CrossFit or health and fitness?
High, low, buffalo. You may have to define that.
Yeah. So high is like, hey, this was interesting and it was a really good high for me. I really like that. And low is, oh man, I can't beat anybody. I don't know what. And then buffalo is, oh, this was surprising, either good or awkward or whatever. Right?
Oh, okay.
High, low, buffalo.
So the low's pretty easy. Like again, the first week or two, like I would get home and go, I'm gonna die. Like,
So what could you do to fix that? Could you go less or stretch more or something? Not go less.
I don't.
Could you reduce the effort?
I honestly don't know that I could reduce the effort much more than I was reducing it when I first started. It was just the fact that I went from 15 years of couch potato to now you're doing CrossFit, right? So, it got like, I would say after the first week, I noticed, okay, this isn't as bad. I don't feel quite like I'm going to die. And then each week that would go on, I would get progressively a little bit better. So, it's the old saying is the hardest thing about CrossFit is showing up. It's just show up.
It's so old.
Yes,
They said that back in 0 BC.
Right.
AD? 0 something.
I don't know.
Yeah, they've been saying
Are
that
we on the
forever.
Gregorian calendar?
Yes, it's the after Andy. AA, after Andy. Yes. So as a business owner, it's one thing I'm always fighting is FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yeah.
And oh no, CrossFit is scary. I'm like, it's not. Just get in here. So the second would be, okay, I'm really sore. So what I tell people all the time is, okay, if you came in Monday, Tuesday, come in and just row. Do the warm-up, do the skilly part, whatever it is, and then just get on the row and row.
Do something.
So in college, they say, hey, if you got drunk and smashed the night before, just a little hair of the dog, little...
Hair of the dog that bit you?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that's actually true.
I think that's fake. I think that's something the alcohol companies came up with. But
So,
if you drink too much, drink more.
10 out of 10 tobacco companies agree that smoking while pregnant is good for your baby. Yeah, that's...
I know it was good for me.
So that's, again, tangent on tangent on tangent. It's fascinating to think when we were growing up, 6 out of 7 doctors agreed that Camel's Unfiltered was good for your health.
Was
right?
better for you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
So
never heard
all
that.
of you guys who are like CrossFit, like health and fit, this is still the generation, the decade, the century when doctors said smoking is good for you and unfiltered is even better than. I mean, we were so stupid. You think it's all figured out? It's not figured out.
That filter's taking all the good stuff
I know.
out.
Well, you want that tar right in there. Get that tar directly in your lungs. Okay, so I'm still trying to figure out how to help people get over some of this fear. So I would tell them, come and do something, row, and then do another, like we do our usually 5 on-ramp sessions. And I encourage them between the on-ramp sessions, because it's individually scheduled, it's one at a time.
Right.
come in and row. Just come in and like do class, just listen. And I know you don't know what's going on. That's okay. Just be part of it.
Sure.
Or just come in and literally be like, I am going to row. So did you do like one day and then take 2 days off and one day or something like that? Or did you try to go multiple times? I think doing something would help.
Yeah, I know I started on a Friday.
Oh.
Right? So I started Friday,
weekend.
then I had the weekend. But I did play pickleball that weekend because part of my thought process was I got to go move and get some of this of this crap out, right? Which helped. And then I went back the next week, and I don't remember. It's been a long time, and I've slept since then. But probably went 3 days, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something like that.
Okay.
So, and now, and of course, I travel a lot for work. So when I travel, I don't go to the CrossFit gym because I'm literally not in the same state. But I try to do some stuff at the hotel.
I have a document that 32 workouts at home.
Oh, really?
Give you, and you can use it at the gym. At the hotel gym. Because it's almost like being at home with no gear.
Right.
Yeah.
So
my favorite though, did I tell you this one? Is just get on the dumbbell rack, and the warm up is the workout.
Literally just stand on the dumbbell rack.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Not get on it, but like start with the 2 5-pound dumbbells.
Yeah.
And you do like 15 thrusters. Put it down, and you get the 10 pounds, you do 15 thrusters.
Oh,
and you just keep going up.
Yeah.
And then you're like, did you measure it? Is it time? I'm like, no, but my warm-up is the workout, which I finished with some amount of weights. Like, then you get to the heavier ones. I'm like, I did like 3 because it's too heavy for me.
Right.
Or something. And then you put them down. And
or
then
0. I took them off the rack. And then I put
like,
them back on.
really heavy. Yeah. Put it right back down. But I like that one because, I don't know, I just hate working out at a hotel.
I do too. Can't stand it.
Right.
Actually, part of the reason I like CrossFit is because I hate working out, have always hated working out. And CrossFit, again, getting back to like my personality, it's almost a social event and working out at the same time. Like I feel like in a very short period of time, I've built some relationships with people. There's some camaraderie. Like it is a little group, like a little tribe that, hey, we're all showing up trying to get
tribe
healthy.
better than cult.
Tribe is definitely better than cult.
Thanks.
So but everyone's just trying to show up and be healthy, and you're like, hey, how you doing?
Which is fascinating. Get to a group with people with healthy mindsets. Like if you go to the bar, right? Because you can guess
what you're going to do.
Find bar fives, and you're like, well, what are you into? Well, methamphetamines. And I'm not saying all bar people.
When I'm not drinking, I'm snorting cocaine.
Right. It's my 2 favorite crutches: alcohol and cigarettes. But if you're at the gym and you end up making friends with these people, and it is fascinating that. Like if you went to Planet Fitness and somebody came up and said, hey, so I saw you back squatting. You're like, seriously, please don't talk to me.
And so let me point that out because that's an important point. Like I'm fascinated by human psychology. And so there's a major difference between introverts and extroverts.
Yes.
So you're an extremely extroverted person.
So weirdly, I'm an introvert. I double backup mode and extrovert. Yeah. I went to Georgia Tech. I looked at my own shoes.
Yeah, but still, okay, we'll have this discussion. That's a tangent upon a tangent. That's like a T squared.
Yeah.
But if you're
squared, what does that mean?
So So the bottom line between introverts and extroverts, right? First of all, introverts think, talk, think.
Yeah.
Extroverts talk, think, talk.
Okay.
So for people like me, we say it and then we think, I wonder if that was a good thing to say.
Yes.
Right? Introverts will think, I'm thinking this. Okay. I wonder if it's a good thing to say. And so they'll filter themselves much better. The other interesting difference, but there's lots of differences, obviously, but the one really big one that impacts me and my wife a lot because my wife is introverted and I'm extroverted is crowds energize you if you are an extrovert. Yeah. I go to a crowded place, whether it's a crowded gym, whether it's a crowded bar or restaurant. Yep. I was at a meeting in Las Vegas this past week. We had like 150 people all having like dinner and there's a live band and I'm like,
Did
this
you
is
get up
amazing.
on stage and be like Tony Robbins? I'm here to motivate your life.
Believe it or not, I tried and they wouldn't let me.
So I can see it in my head.
But the crowds energize.
Did you say hold my sound?
Hold my beer. I'm gonna go up on stage. So but I leave a crowded event thinking that was so much fun and I'm so energized and let's go do something else. And my wife or any introvert leaves a crowded event and thinks, I just want to get back to the room, kick my shoes off and not talk to anyone. That was exhausting. Right. It's draining.
Yes.
Right? And I didn't understand that for the longest time. I couldn't understand why my wife didn't enjoy going to these events. Well, it's because it physically drains her.
Right. You need to take a break from all that.
Yeah, she's got to go get recharged somewhere.
Do you remember the movie Austin Powers?
I do.
You remember when they woke him up and he's peeing? And he's like, when do I tell him I don't have an internal dialogue? I feel like I'm an introvert with no internal dialogue.
Oh, okay.
Although over 50 years, I have like learned to not say all my jokes. Yeah. So they've progressively become less perverted, so that's good. So I can usually say more of them.
Right.
But
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. If anyone ever watched How I Met Your Mother, you understand that joke. But drink.
That guy is an awesome. I love Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
I just bought a board game. It just said Neil Patrick Harris on it. It's some sort of escape room. Like, I don't even know what this is.
But it's Neil Patrick Harris.
He was Doogie Howser.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
I'm in, whatever. He was also Starship Troopers, another one of my weirdly favorite movies.
Yeah, he was kind of like Darth Vader and a Nazi rolled into one.
Sort of.
So,
It was, that was a good show.
Anyway, going back to the introvert extrovert, the whole reason I brought that up is because I realize I've said CrossFit's very social and I get a lot out of that. And there may be some introverts listening going, oh, that crap's not for me, right?
I'm an introvert that likes it. So
and so what I wanted to say is there are multiple introverts who work out at our gym on a regular basis and they're just fine. They just they show up, they do their workout, they don't talk a whole lot, right? Might say hello, whatever, but they're there, they get their fitness in and they're gone. And then there are others who we sit there and we talk, we laugh, we joke, we get our fitness done. So if you're introverted and you've been listening to this thinking, okay, that's not for me, don't let that scare you off.
Yeah, and you can, so, and an interesting part is on that, or another aspect of it is the coaches get to know you. So one of our members at the gym doesn't do high fives, but she'll do high foot fives.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, all right, I don't know exactly. So I have, in the year of 2023, I call it Hug 2023. So at home, I'm like, Hug 2023. And my kids are like, really, Dad? And Verity's like, seriously, leave me alone. Yeah. And so at the gym, I'm the same way. I'm like, hey, high five or it's Hug 2023. So it's funny. Some people are like, yeah, hugs. And other people are like, hey. And so some people are like, pinky touches or I'm like, that's fine, you're not touching, that's okay. So you try to meet everyone where they're at. Okay, so that was actually, I don't know if that was was a high or low, did you?
Yeah, I don't, so the low was I was just sore and felt like I was going to die.
What about
for the
Buffalo,
first
unexpected?
Week or two. Unexpected, wow. You know what? Probably the biggest unexpected
that
for me.
Andy was right.
No, that I knew that was going to be the case. So I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want your ego to get any bigger.
Yeah,
but
it's huge. It fills up this truck.
I expected. I don't know why I expect. Maybe because you, to me, are CrossFit. You have been CrossFit for the last 15 years, and you're in amazing shape. You've always been in fantastic shape.
So if you compliment my body, I'll hold it against you.
So you got a pretty nice body, Andy.
So let me sneak over there.
So I really thought, and I don't know why I thought this, but I really thought when I walked in, like everyone would look like Andy.
Oh,
right?
Thank you.
Like everyone in there is just going to be in amazing shape. Maybe less gray hair.
There you go.
So, and to be sure, we have some people. We have Jonathan, right? And we have some other people in there who, like, definitely look like super athletes. But I would say the majority of the people at the CrossFit gym do not look like super athletes. To be sure, they're in good shape, right? And there are varying levels of being in good shape. But basically, everyone there is just a normal person.
Yeah, they're desk jockeys and parents.
Right.
And you're just like, hey.
Some of them have the dad bods and some of them have to wear the mom jeans. And you know what? That's okay.
Whatever,
but they show, if they've been doing it for a while, they're in really good shape. Like really, really fit, very strong.
Yes. And to do that second part of it like, eventually you have to like work on nutrition. Like
exactly.
Less cinnamon buns or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes, it is. I have been to a few gyms that it is still too competitive. Not that anyone's looking down on you, but you definitely see them cut their eyes and like, I'm ahead of you, right?
Yeah,
I'm like,
sure.
This is just stupid. I'm just here to work out. So I don't usually, when I go on vacation, I don't usually go to other gyms.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would like to, that was earlier. I would like to now, but so I can, as a owner, be like, hey, what could I do better, different, or whatever? But anyway. Okay. So already did that one. Okay, so I guess the answer to this question is probably pickleball. How do you see yourself using this new fitness?
Yeah, so just life in general, right? Like, again, I want to be, when I'm 75 or 80, I want to continue to be able to do the things that I enjoy. Yeah, so I want to be Dan. Pickleball is one of them. Golf, probably another one. And I haven't played golf in quite a while, but I need to get out and start swinging the clubs. I actually live in a neighborhood with a golf course. I've been there for a year and I haven't played golf, which shame on me.
Just put one out there and hit it. And be like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm done.
Get an X-out ball and just hit it. And be like, I did it. You also need to be slightly as unfit so that 99 you can be run from, but still get caught by the guy.
Yeah, the jealous husband.
jealous of it, yeah.
Exactly. You have to kill me now.
Yeah, that's the one you use. I want to use it. I want to die.
I want to die at the age of 95 at the hands of a jealous husband. Whatever.
Okay, so and this you can do whatever you want with it. So what absurd thing that you do that you love, like, hey, it's a guilty pleasure, or like, I do this and nobody knows, or that you can tell. So, yeah, right, yeah.
Okay.
So you're like, I don't know, whatever. I have to think of one for myself. So if there's something that you do that you're like, oh yeah, this is a thing, I always turn my alarm clock counterclockwise 3 times. I don't know.
I don't consider that to be a guilty pleasure.
That's just, I don't know. Or it could be, yeah, like it's
eating ice cream out of the carton or something like that. She'll never know I was eating it out
How
of
is
the
this
carton.
emptying? There's not a bowl. There is a spoon, but there's no bowl. How could this possibly be happening?
Wait, you use a spoon? I just dig my hand straight in there.
Oh, it is funny at our house. So it's been years, 8+ years of not eating sugar or bread. Mm-hmm. And so people, my family will call out on each other, who ate the ice cream? And they look around the table, well, like, not you, Dad.
Yeah, we know it's not you.
Everybody else. I'm like, that's funny that, like, I could be the biggest cookie thief now, because they're like, who ate the last cookie? Like, nobody would know it was me.
Perfect. It's like the long play. You set it up.
I am. And they're like, it's definitely not Dad. Like, no, you're right. I did not eat the only, yeah. So weirdly, not eating sugar and bread has gotten me out of trouble from the family, especially like if your wife is like, hey, who ate? You're like, oh, that's going to go down, right? Yeah. And it's like, you know it's not me.
Someone touched my butter pecan.
Yeah, it's definitely, okay, it's not you. Okay, you're safe. Anything else, it probably was. If it was dumb and it happened in the house.
I probably did it.
Who shrunk my clothes? Yes, that was probably, don't wash it. Not high heat? Is that not what you wanted? I thought it was being helpful. Stop helping.
Maybe your clothes didn't shrink. Maybe you just got bigger.
No. Yeah, right. So for any wannabe husband,
right.
That is, if she ever says, hey, how did these pants? You just run.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
don't answer that question.
I'm deaf. I can't hear.
I think I'm having a heart attack. Yeah. I'll be at the hospital.
Levi has a girlfriend, and it's funny the conversation points we have. And he's like, Dad, how come? I'm like, dude, the rest of your life, women are just different. Yep. And it's just hard. So it's fun to have these conversations. It's always good. They're always pleasant and polite. And he is a very well thoughtful kid. And I try to say things to him and my Evan, and they're like, Dad, why would you ever say that? And I'm like, well, that's what we said and did back in the you guys
back in the 80s.
Yeah, right. You know, it's funny. I would like to say that I parented better children than me, but I don't know if it was probably all Verity, and she's like working against my influence, and it was probably the good thing.
Well, that's entirely possible, but you did in fact raise better children. It's just you might not have had anything to do with it.
That's true. Yes. Very good. So I was along for the ride. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I drove him to school. Okay, so what exciting thing do you have planned for yourself in the future? What is there an event coming up? Like, hey, we are all about to go hiking. I'm going to crush everyone. Or we're going to go on a cool vacation. What do you have coming up?
So we do a family vacation. We're going to Hilton Head, right? Ooh, we do that every year with like Nanny and Poppy and then Kyle and Carrie. So of course you're going to play pickleball and crush them all? Oh, I'm going to play some pickleball. And I have, you brought it up. I have thought, I need to see if there's a CrossFit gym in Hilton Head.
Oh yeah, there is.
Because when I'm on vacation, I'm sure. The
drop-in's usually $20.
Yeah, so that's easy.
It's not too bad.
2-3 times
if you tell them I'm coming in for a week,
right?
And I know your drop-in's probably $20. Can I do like $50? And they'll be, yeah, sure, if you're gonna come that much.
Why would I pay them $50 if they'll take 20?
Yes, you're right. For the week,
I thought you were good at math.
I should use my words. The other thing that we tell people, yes, we take drop-ins only if you've done CrossFit for 3 or more months, because I don't want you to be a hindrance. Makes sense. Sure. And if you're going to do our program. Yep. So like, hey, I just want to join class and follow along and do exactly what you want to do. Right. And I'm super competent in what I'm doing. And they'll be like, oh, for sure, come on in. It's people who are like, I've never done CrossFit and I'd like to drop in and try a class. I'm like, yeah, so we've been doing this for 15 years and I have a 99% guarantee that you are not going to do CrossFit if you did it this way. Because nobody ever stays. Not nobody, but like 1 out of 100.
Well, that's why you do the on-ramp or onboarding or whatever you could. So
I just want to try a class. You will never come back. Yep. Do you want it to work? Okay, so if you had a billboard that you could put a message on 85, Highway 80, Interstate 95 or 75 or whatever, what message would you shout out to the world?
Send me donuts.
So Homer Simpson. That's fine.
Oh, surely it's a magical, wonderful animal.
Lisa.
Dad, those all come from the. It was.
What was
okay, she was trying to get him to go vegetarian.
Yeah.
It was like, what about bacon? No, Dad. What about sausage? No, Dad. What about pork chops? Dad, those all come from the same animal. Oh, surely it's a magical, wonderful animal.
That all have those in there. I think one time he's like, hot dogs, and in her head she was doing pictures of the animal and it was big, 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 and he's like, hot dogs, and it was rat. That's one of my favorite shows. It's too bad that it's off the air.
So
It's
does
not. It's
were
still
you?
on.
No, it's the longest running
running,
show
yeah.
in the history of the world. So
Still in 4th grade. He can't get out of 4th grade.
I know, poor Bart. Kid is not smart.
Yeah.
So you're wanting a kind of CrossFit related
No, just
billboard?
it could be anything. Yeah,
any billboard.
I've had people
Oh,
be
okay.
like, I got Bible message. I'm like, yeah, sure, that works.
Okay,
I mean, whatever.
there you
It's
go.
who
Yeah,
you
John
are. So basically,
3:16.
what is an ethos of your life? What lesson have you learned that you're like, I would wish I could teach everyone, like, drink more beer? No, I don't know, whatever.
Maybe drink more beer. You know what? I mean, hey, I'll share this.
Yeah.
So, because it's not the original, it's not my original idea, but a friend of mine named Mark, his son Clint, again,
Did
won't
he
use
write the
their
Perfect
last.
Country
No,
Western song?
he did not.
Okay.
That's what is that guy's name?
David Allen Coe?
David Allen Coe, thank you. So, well, he didn't write it. His friend wrote it, but he sang it. But anyway, so my friend Mark, who's a little bit older than me, and his son was probably 5-6 years older than Wes. Grew up playing baseball. His son played baseball, and his son was actually really, really good. Like good enough that after he graduated from high school, he got drafted in like the top 10 of the Major League Baseball draft.
Okay,
Like
wow.
top 10 overall. He was like the 6th or 7th pick.
Right.
So again, I won't
So what
use
you're
his
saying is
name.
there's 9 better than him. No.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm saying.
Yes.
About a month after he graduated from high school, he was a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
So because
Wow.
if you get drafted top 10 in the Major League draft, you get a large signing bonus, and he's played quite a bit and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, his senior year in high school, we went to see him play. I think Wes was 10 or 11 or 12, and we took the boys like, look, Clint's going to be drafted in the Major League draft, blah, blah, blah. And I asked Mark, because Mark had coached Clint all the way up. Mark was really good at baseball too. And so I asked Mark, I'm like, hey, I'm not saying my kid's going to be drafted in the Major League draft, and in fact he wasn't, but he really enjoys baseball. It's kind of his thing, and I really enjoy watching him. I said, what piece of advice would you give me, since you're ahead of me? Clint's on the tail end of his kind of youth baseball experience.
Let me guess.
Right?
Skip straight to Copenhagen. It's
No.
much better on your lip?
Yeah,
That's not it? That's not it.
Smoke unfiltered camels. So
And if you can't get pregnant while doing it, it's perfect.
his advice to me that I have never forgotten is, treat your kids more like you're a grandparent than you're a parent. So when you go to the kids' ball game, he said, here, looking back, he said, Clint could have hit 3 home runs in a ball game when he was 14, and then the only at bat I'm talking to him about on the way home is the one where he struck out.
Right. You know what he knows he did? He knows he struck out on that one.
He knows. Yeah, you didn't have to tell him.
that.
He knew.
Yeah.
And he said, conversely, Clint could have a 5 strikeout game, and immediately after the game, his grandparents walk up to him and go, we are so proud of you. We love you so much. We love watching you play. He said,
That's it.
He said, just treat your kids, especially when it comes to, but it's athletics. If they're into musical theater or chess or STEM stuff, they're building robots, whatever they're doing. Treat them more like you're a grandparent than you're a parent. Don't look for all the negative stuff.
Is that still true if it's art?
I think it is. I don't know anything about art. I'm told there are crayons involved. I don't know.
Inside the line?
Yeah. So that would be my billboard, is just be more like a grandparent than a parent. And coincidentally, I'm going to be a grandparent here in about 4 months, and I'm super excited.
So they do know not to leave you alone with the baby.
Oh, no, Maddie doesn't know that.
She doesn't know that.
She did tell me, don't hold the kid up into a ceiling fan, because when Maddie was a baby, I held her up in her head. I was like, uh-oh, I think I broke her.
Oh, man. So, I didn't do that, but I picked a kid up, and then the mama's milk doesn't always stay down, and I got spewed. I'm like, you know what? That is lesson
rough.
learned.
Yes,
Lesson learned.
Yeah. Don't spin them around right after they leave.
Right, or hand them back real quick. Yeah. So that is something that, yes, that's a message I think all parents can hear. I was the dad for Olivia. So I got 4 kids. Olivia's the oldest, totally practiced, didn't know what we were doing, and did all the wrong things. And I am okay saying I was a different person back then than I am now. I have changed for sure. And I would yell at her on the field, yell at refs. I mean, I was a yeller. And then when people would be like, ref, that's offsides, I would turn to the parent that's not even I would turn to someone else's wife. Like, really? I'm going to fight with my own wife? I'm going to fight with someone else's wife and be like, I guess you don't know what offsides is. Let me educate you. Right? I'm like, when in the history of sports has that gone well?
Did
right?
you get the shirt that says, I know everything?
Yeah, I was like, big a-hole right here, right? And so yes. So when Evie comes off the field, she's, for years, I've even coached her, like her club team.
Yep.
And I still say, I really enjoyed watching you play soccer.
Right.
And I love this time.
Yep.
And so it took about 3 or 4 years. She finally started saying, okay, great, I hear that. What could I have done better? I'm like,
Nice.
Weird. It took 4 years.
Right.
But she asked for my opinion. And so now I just go like, well, what do you think you could have done?
Yeah.
And I actually don't ever say it.
Yeah, because she probably knows.
Right. So
she probably knows.
in a matter of fact, so they were playing in a middle school game last night, and Olivia, or I can't say my.
Well, you have
family
so
name.
many
Yeah,
of
so
them.
many.
Evie?
Verity, only one wife, but I just can't say it. So she's like, hey, do you think Evie is playing in the right place? Do you think that? And I'm like, well, so I would say no, as she plays 6 or the defensive mid. I'd say I think she's playing too far back, but I also know she's really smart about soccer. So my guess is the coach told her to play more defensive to keep this, because soccer is like a 1-0 and they won big time.
Yeah,
it was 2-0. It was a blowout. You're like 2? So stupid, right? Anyway, so it's probably protect the goal more because we have a really good forward, and so just help out. And so I'm like, I would probably tell her that. So after the game, I said uncharacteristically, it's like, hey, I know it's all over and it's done and all that stuff. I did have one thing that I wanted to ask you. And I think I know the answer, but I want to ask anyway. I felt like, I said, can I do that? So she's like, yeah, sure, why not? And so I got her permission. I said, hey, so I noticed you were playing really far back, almost as a center defender. She's like, yeah, the coach told me to. I'm like, and that's why you don't yell on the field.
Get up!
Right?
Move forward!
Yeah, like throw, kick, push her. I mean, the coach might have said, like, I noticed she was covering this one girl, call her 21, hardcore.
Yep.
And she's a smaller kid, but she's very good with her feet, which is what you need in soccer. And this girl was very pushy and big. And so typically when a big kid pushes the little kid's going to get the foul. It's just like the refs can't help it. They're like, oh, you're small and teeny and precious.
Right.
You must have so she's stepping in and doing illegal stuff, like not illegal enough to get like carded or whatever, but it's definitely, got to go for the ball. And she's just going for the kid. So her job was like to mess with 21 and keep her off the ball because this girl had incredible control. So Evie's control and her control, it's much easier to defend against it, right? So she just got in the girl's way and made it a bad day. And so I noticed and I was like, I wonder if she's been told to like stick on that girl.
Yep.
Yeah. And she's
There
like,
you go.
I said, how did the game go? She's like, yeah, it was okay, but I was told to stick on 21. I'm like, okay, I'm glad. So yes, parents, stop yelling.
Yes, stop yelling.
Because they don't listen on the field.
No, well, and here's the other thing. If you think that the coach is doing something wrong, if you say, but he shouldn't have my kid sticking on 21, then get your kid off that team and go coach a team.
Right. Or get a license and go coach. Yeah.
Just shut your mouth and let the coach be the coach. And I'm talking specifically to the dad who was yelling the entire game at my nephew Charlie's soccer game 2 weekends ago. I don't know your name, but stop it.
You don't know, right. So I did a ultimate baddie, a ref. So we ended up losing this, or Levi's team lost this game big time anyway, but at the beginning of the game, she missed an offsides call. One way or the other, I don't even remember now. And the entire game, well, not the entire, but for like 40 more minutes, I was like, nice call, ref. And I kept saying it. And she's just a kid. She's just a girl who's some daddy's daughter.
Right.
And here I am being an ultimate idiot.
Douchebag.
Yeah. And so I knew I was wrong. And this is the day it changed. When the guy that normally sat with me at the soccer games scooted an inch away. And I looked at him and I said, am I that guy? He's like, yeah. I'm like, thanks for telling me. And that day it changed. I'm like, wow, I cannot believe. And we ended up losing like 0-5. So that one, obviously it wasn't the problem. The problem was our kids were not as good.
Yeah.
So the problem was you needed more skill. I have a whole episode. I guess I need to find it and put it on here. So I did it maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, but it was like, don't be that dad, or be the coach, don't be the critic, be the coach, like help your kid. It was basically, you are the problem why your kid's not succeeding in sports is because you're pressuring them with your own desires and needs and whatever.
Yep.
So that's true. I would put that up there too. I have so many sayings. I need like 10 billboards. That's a good one.
Well, you can
We
get
probably
10
could have led with all
billboards.
that.
I mean, you can
I
go
can't.
rent billboards.
They're really expensive.
I didn't say you could afford it, but you can
We
rent
did
it.
have a billboard for the gym.
Nice.
Yeah, there was one right outside. It's right across the street, and it was like the arrow was pointing, hey, CrossFit Garage right there. And we had it for like 6 months, and I'd ask people, members and everybody, hey, did you see the billboard? What billboard? I'm like, really? You guys drive here every day.
Literally
so I'm
above the gym.
Yeah, nobody, I mean, everyone was busy texting, so how could they see the billboard? So I was like, well, that was a waste of whatever money.
Yeah.
Of course, years later, somebody said, remember when you had that billboard? I'm like, what? What? I don't know if they were messing with me because they knew.
Probably.
But yeah, I don't know. All right, that was good stuff. It's always fun to have lunch with you.
Fun.
We'll talk
Thanks,
about
man.
other personal things.
Thanks for having me on your podcast, Andy McCann.
It is
of
such,
CrossFit Garage.
It is such a big podcast. It is. I've had to delete all of the requests from Joe Rogan. Yeah, to get on this podcast.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
He's like, you're so fascinating.
You don't have time for Joe.
I don't. I mean, I'm like, why would I want to be exposed to millions of people? I like my small niche. Niches are in the riches are in the niches. Yeah, it's in the ditches.
Your niche isn't the only thing that's small.
I don't know. Yes. I didn't even get to ask you all the other. Well, I guess we have a lot more time, but I'll cut this one. I do have to go find Evan eventually.
Yeah. I got to go pick my wife up and take her to Ace Hardware.
Oh, nice.
Don't ask me why.
Okay, I won't. So that's a lovely trip for you. I need to actually walk back in the place we ate at because all that coffee is telling me.
You got to get rid of that coffee.
You drank too much coffee, Andy.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
And you happen to be almost 50. Guess what you need to do?
So nobody tells you how often you'll have to wake up. Here's a cure for waking up at night and going pee. Don't drink after 7 p.m. Don't drink anything. Just if you have to, rinse your mouth out and spit it out. It'll stop you from having to wake up so dang often.
Or if you just die before you're 40.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah.
I guess you could stop going.
I'm not advising that to
That's
anyone.
a very extreme.
Yeah. But it will stop you from having to pee at
It
night.
will. There's death and taxes. Those are the two truisms in the world.
Taxes and peeing in the middle of the night.
Any other message you'd give to anybody else? How about our friends, right? So, our group of people, would you tell them to do something, do nothing? What would you tell them to do?
Well, so, I mean, I would say to whether it's our friends or anyone else, like if you're, if you're doing nothing, do something.
Sure.
Like we talked about before, like go walk. And then after you walk for a while, maybe jog a little bit and then maybe turn the jogging into a run or go play pickleball, right? Or, something is better than nothing. Sometimes when I'm doing CrossFit and I'm looking around and I'm like, I am not killing this particular day. Like everyone else is killing it, and I am not killing it, right? Whatever it is that day, I can just think to myself, but you know what? 6 months ago, I was doing literally nothing.
Right.
I may not be killing it in here, but it is so much more than nothing. It's not even funny.
Something is, So that's exactly, I tell people the same thing. Do something. And like when they contact us, I have a lot of conversations with people who don't join, and it's just free advice. Like, what should I do? I'm like, just something. Here's the at-home workouts. Like, walk, jog.
Do something.
Do something. Something's better than nothing. Otherwise, feebleness is chasing you down. It is going to win because your natural state is lethargy. Lethargy?
I don't know.
And words are my kryptonite.
Words are your
Unfortunately,
kryptonite.
we need those to like
and
propagate communication.
And for everyone listening, if you think Andy's spoken communication is bad, you should receive a text message from him.
So, okay, side story, because we have a lot of these. When I was getting EV tested for all that stuff, to basically just verify that, yes, in fact, my dad, me, and her all suffer from a little bit of dyslexia, or a lot, or whatever. One of the things was, do you read or auto-dictate, whatever? Do you do voice to text?
Oh, yeah.
That is a great indicator that you are...
Interesting, yeah.
Have a mechanism around your dyslexia. I'm like, fascinating. I do it because it's convenient and fast. She's like, because you can't spell or type. I'm like, that's actually true. Yeah. It is faster because I can't, it's two thumbs, but I'm like, I would dictate everything. Yeah, and then the red line thingy is beautiful. And sometimes I just go like, whatever.
I don't know what the red line thing is.
Because you never misspell?
Or if I do, I correct it.
Yeah. Well, right. So it puts it up there.
That underlines the thing you've misspelled. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So like on a computer program.
Yeah.
Like
email. Those pop up every now and then.
Yeah. And it comes up. Yep. So even Grammarly stuff comes up. Like, you should put a comment there. I'm like, should I?
Yeah.
Do I?
I do sometimes argue with it. I'm like, no, I don't think I should put a comma there.
What did Evan say? Comma your way out of everything. So he's like, the teacher's like, just add commas everywhere. You can't be wrong. Whatever.
I remember in high school they said, when in doubt, go without. That was the rule. Like,
so now
fewer
it's
commas is better.
In there or you'll get a F.
That's the new English, I guess, along with the new math.
Oh man, yeah, words kill me. So it's funny because I don't really care if you say words to me that are offensive or whatever. I grew up
Right.
in the 80s. I didn't
Yep.
have parents at home. Whatever.
Right.
That's just rub some dirt on it. Whatever.
When we grew up, the saying was, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me."
Yeah.
Now it's, words hurt as hard as a knife.
It doesn't. Just walk
or
away
whatever,
from them.
anyway,
Yeah. And I guess as an adult, you can walk away from people
Sure.
you don't like.
Yeah.
But like, it's funny. They're like, Andy, your text is horrible. I'm like, so funny. I'm dyslexic, and I'm in my head. I've said what I thought I said, right? So they're basically saying like, you have one leg. Why aren't you fast enough? I'm like,
Right.
so the lady was fascinating. I mean, I hate to admit this. When Dr. Tina, I don't remember her name.
Sure.
When she was talking about the dyslexia stuff and the tools that you can use now, and the stories, like, does your daughter this and kids this? I'm like almost in tears, because I'm like, that was me. I didn't know that there was something like legit wrong. It was just, I don't know, I transpose numbers and letters. And
Right.
letters are it's easier to catch when you transpose letters because it spells the wrong word, right? But if you transpose 45, 54 is legit. So, right? There's no, like, well,
that's not a wrong
that's
number.
not a wrong number.
Yeah.
It's wrong. But it's not because you're an idiot. It's because you just transposed it. I'm
So
like, I wonder how many math problems I got wrong because of that.
Interestingly, for people who are listening to this who don't know Andy extremely well, probably graduated in the top 5% of your class in high school. Is that fair?
Maybe so.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's a good question.
good enough to
That
go
was
to.
so long ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. But you did well enough, certainly, to get into Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but so did you, and you were in the bottom 5%.
Nah,
So.
I was definitely only in the bottom 10%. So got to Georgia Tech and not just graduated from Georgia Tech, got a degree in electrical engineering, which is one of the hardest degrees to get.
Is it?
Absolutely. It's chemical, electrical.
Chemical's the first one. I told
Yeah.
Olivia that. She's like, no, it's not. I'm like, it is.
Chemical's definitely
The
there.
hardest.
But electrical is like no walk in the park.
Yeah.
So you were smart enough to, before anyone like knew about all the crap to diagnose, all that stuff, like you somehow just developed mechanisms around that. I'll call it a disability,
Yeah.
even though it's not,
Well,
you may not consider
your brain
it that,
is just
but
different.
yeah, you're wired
So
differently. And
it
you see
depends on where
things
you're at. Is
differently.
it a disability? I don't know if it's it is a disability if you're grading me on spelling.
By today's standards, it is a disability.
Right. Well, Evie is going to get extra time on the ACT and
There you
SAT.
go. So
like, there you
because
go.
because
Right.
of the ADA or whatever.
But
so.
I still struggle on spelling words, and she's like, if you are 50 and you still can't spell that word, yeah, that's dyslexia.
Right.
Because most people
100%.
go like, oh, there is spelled this way, not that way. I'm like, yeah, I have a hard time with that one.
And it's
still.
clearly not for a lack of intelligence. Like you're a very smart.
Well, and that
person.
was a fascinating thing with Evie. Like her IQ score is off the charts.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the chart because
Right.
other's
But it's
would be
near
no
the
chart.
top.
It's
It's
near
right
the
there at
top.
the top.
But then these three aspects are like so low. It's like crazy. And I'm
Yep.
like, yeah. So anyway, they're just talking about these things, and I'm like, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I get it. I try real hard. I even make fun of it. I set the bar really low, so if I ever do well, they're like, oh wow, proud of you, Andy. You didn't
spelled
pee on your
cat. Look at
hands.
you.
Yeah, you spelled cat. UV of. I'm like, no, it's not. But yeah, and so it's funny that that not funny, but to see that there are like in dyslexia, whatever, there are mechanisms that they've built up. In health and fitness, there are mechanisms we have built up.
Right.
If you have a hard time standing up from a chair, stand up.
Right.
If you have a hard time getting off the floor, do some burpees, right? It's not rocket science. It's literally
burpees.
Yeah, right. I tell people, they're like, you just love burpees. I just have been telling people for 15 years, I hate them too, but I'm like,
Right.
I love burpees. And so when they come up, I'm like, yeah, I love them. And so in 15 years, I'm like, I actually do like them.
Yeah.
And then when they come up, people are
Fake
like,
it
you're
till
going
you
to do
make
these
it.
all real fast, aren't you? I'm like, sure. And so I'm like, you just like convince yourself they're your friend.
Right.
Yeah, and it can be your friend.
I
don't
love
know.
me some burpees. All right, I'll try that with thrusters. Oh, I
Yeah.
love thrusters.
Yeah.
I love
if
them.
I could do like if you said, hey, I have 10 minutes at the gym, go and do whatever, I would do thrusters because it's like the most full body workout.
Yeah.
You could do maybe a burpee thruster. Actually, that would be really hard, but
Oh my gosh.
you break your back. But yeah, thruster or actually burpees too because it's a great change. But I think this will be the third time we try to end the podcast.
Yeah, we need to end it
Yeah,
because
that's right.
I got to go drive my wife to Ace Hardware.
And I need to go deliver some.
She
water.
is, as we say in my household, a passenger princess. She does not drive.
You are the Uber to her.
I am.
You were before it was invented. You were already there.
We actually
Unpaid Uber.
we've been calling it for a long time, driving Miss Daisy. She goes, "Hey, you want to drive Miss Daisy to the grocery store?"
Oh, that was a great movie.
It was a great
Just like that other one you had us watch,
Guarding test. It was wonderful.
That was so bad. We didn't even tell the stories. We had
I know.
we were texting each other while driving using voice to text. Voice text. And letting Siri read it to and like all the stories we should bring up. So I guess we'll just do that next time.
We'll do another podcast.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So that's good. So all of you people out there that are nervous or concerned or whatever, know that it can be done. And if you do a little bit overtime, it's way better than a lot overtime. So just go into it easily.
Yep.
Find a CrossFit gym. They weirdly, for the amount of coaching and mentoring and accountability you get is crazy inexpensive. It's crazy cheap for the level that most of the gyms are going to give you.
Yep.
Don't sign contracts. Go try it out. Say, yes, I will pay more money to have a non-contract. So try it for a month or two. If you don't like their gym, try another gym. But it is a great environment, healthy people, or people who want to be healthy, who are working on their things, and very inviting. Everyone wants you to succeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very true.
So, all right. And I guess the last thing is, children, remember to ask your parents where babies come from.
Ask mom. Go ask your mother.